Hello and welcome to our little plains hopping D&D campaign. I am not your friendly neighborhood Dungeon Master Austin, but I am joined by my weird little dudes welcoming lofty disasters with little difficulty, wildly living dangerously, win, lose, draw. Say hi, everyone.
Yeah!
Hello and good show.
My boy!
I haven't been this happy since "And you, Brutus."
I have now set the precedent for every one-shot moving forward. We got to do that. We got to keep this up.
Way
Anyway,
to break my precedent of completely ignoring the rules of the show.
that's right. It's not Austin behind the screen this time. Hello, I am Noir. I usually play Virlo the Wizard, Mecha Knight. You might have heard of him. Who knows?
Might have come pretty far in like a Tumblr bracket or
Yeah,
something
he
like
beat
that.
Taco from TV
We
in the
can't.
Wizard
This
bracket
episode's
poll.
coming out like a month after we're recording this. We can't
So
still be
wild
talking about
that
the Tumblr
happened.
Wizard
We have
bracket.
exactly one more fan than Adventure Zone. Anyway, yep. I think we've announced this before already, but I am here running a little one-shot revolving not around the general crew of the Per Aspera, but their weird little dudes, their pets, familiars, homunculus, the peons, whatever you want to call them.
Besties.
And basically running a little adventure that's focusing on them. This system does not utilize D&D 5e. Instead, we're using a one-page TTRPG that was made in collaboration with Grant Howitt and Marisha Ray from Critical Role Darrington Press, called A Familiar Problem. You might have, seen Critical Role's one-shot where they utilize the same system. I'll be adapting it for the purposes of our story here. Pretty straightforward, a lot more streamlined than D&D. Everyone has 4 abilities: clever, fierce, sly, and quick. Clever is the familiar's ability to talk to people and understand their strange culture. Fierce is how well they can bite, scratch, scare, and make loud noises. Sly is how well they can hide, lie, sneak, disguise, and trick. And quick is how well they can climb, dodge, outrun, and spot things. In addition, each weird little dude, you guys aren't familiars, each weird little dude has
I am.
3 spells, which you can sort of interpret as them having observed their big little dude, weird big dude, and basically tried to adapt some of their skills for their own. So everyone has access to 3, let's call them spells, but you can only use once each per session, so choose wisely. I think I have properly set up the premises and the mechanics of the game, but I will have to throw it to Sophia for some announcements. If you'll permit me, Sophia.
Oh?
And welcome back to the Scripps National Spelling Bee. Next on stage is Sophia Ricciardi. Now,
no.
Sophia has dominated her way through the... is it not Scripps? Anyway.
No, what?
I don't know. And dominated her way through her local, state, and state spelling bees, and how she is now here on the national stage. Let's see how well she does. If she gets this word, she will win the entire thing. Let's see what the judges have. Sophia, your word is announcement.
I'm never going to financially recover from this. Announcement. A-N-N-O-U C
No.
E-M-E-N-T?
Ooh, a costly mistake from Sophia Ricciardi. She forgot the N in
Oh, shit!
Her consolation prize. Sophia, tell her what's happening.
Yeah, this is emotionally devastating. I'm never going to be the same, audience. So we thank you guys for listening to all of the regular episodes of Rolling with Difficulty. And if you haven't, what are you doing? There's like 20 of them or something. Go back and listen to those bad boys. But we also have an exciting new season of our main campaign coming at you. And I'm very excited to announce that first episode of Season 4 will go live on Friday, July 7th. So mark that in your calendars. Whoa. Get ready. It's happening. We're coming back. And now summer is not only an ambiguous season, but also a very specific start date. In addition to that, just want to remind you of a few other cool places and things that you can find related to us. There is a Rolling with Difficulty Discord server linked in the description below that is extremely cool. There's a lot of fun fan art and conversations and stuff happening there all the time. In addition, we have a merch shop on Redbubble where you can get stickers and prints drawn by our lovely cast members. And perhaps when you go and glance there may be some weird little dudes who have been added. I don't know. We're recording this in the future. And finally, in the past? P-A-S-T? Past?
The future.
Oh, okay. You're not gonna recover. You don't even try.
I've been so thrown.
You had your one shot.
We haven't even played the session yet. And also as a reminder, if you'd like to support the podcast, help us do what we do, we do have a Patreon. There's a lot of really cool bonus content going up there every month. We do hangs with some tiers, and we'll hop on Discord and chat. We have a lot of cool articles written about it's not fan fiction because Austin wrote it, but it is kind of fan fiction in that it is stuff that has happened to NPCs and stuff. There's a story about Ethos and Davion and other cool stuff. So if you're interested, definitely check that out. Austin looks like he's in pain.
Supplementary material, guys.
Fan
if we're the
fiction.
ones writing it, it's not fan fiction.
It's sort of the
Fan
appendices.
This is like when people just started calling every character they made an OC instead of that being the official term for when you have a fan character in an established medium.
Anyway, those are all the places that I wanted to highlight. And with that, I will go back to our next competitor up on the stage, Noir, who has been following up the rear of this competition, but is still holding on strong. And your word is dysentery.
Dysentery. D-Y-S-E-N. I was so confident at the beginning.
You came in so hot on the DY.
T-E-R-O-I, dysentery. I think that's right. I don't know.
That is right.
Ha-ha!
I'm glad someone had it pulled up because I didn't. I was just gonna do the best.
2 E's.
When you got 3 letters in, I was like, oh shit, someone should check.
That was
I would
what
have guessed
doing.
an A-R-Y, but no,
I was pausing for dramatic effect so that you guys could
As long as we're talking about words, I do want to quickly ask, Sophia, how many syllables do you think are in noir?
One?
I think
Yes. Okay.
no, I see what you're going. I see what you're going
Noir.
with this, and
It's just noir.
This is
Yeah,
like
there you
fire.
go.
Fire or fire. You know,
Fire. It's
it
one syllable.
works either way depending on how you need to poeticize
The
it.
speed at which I'm saying the word is not enough of a point of contention for us to delay this session any longer.
well, last thing, when I was in 3rd grade, we had a grammar assignment where where we had to count how many syllables were in words or whatever. One of the words was really, and the intention was that you were supposed to look in the dictionary to see how many syllables it was, and really in the dictionary is 3 syllables.
That's
funnily
stupid.
enough.
Really?
Really. Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
Really?
So
Really?
I've long since to not really care about how many syllables a word is.
Oh,
Anyway.
Well, I'm upset now.
English is made up. Nothing matters.
Everything's made up.
We should just do this whole
No,
podcast in
language,
French.
however, is made up.
Well, yeah, all
Some
words
things are not made up.
Yes.
Speaking of another thing that's made up, let's go to the session.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Planescape, where good and evil clash, where law and order maintain their delicate balance.
You didn't even fix it. The thing that everyone asked me for, you just read it verbatim.
Yeah, I mean,
Boom, boom.
have your mistakes be even more apparent.
If you commit to the bit,
I
it
didn't
stops
sign
being a
up for the
mistake.
roast of Sophia Ricciardi. I signed up to come play a cat on the internet, okay?
They say that the stars of the astral sea tell the stories of heroes, legends that have twinkled into existence over the history of the Planescape, each pinprick light a representation of the mark those heroes have made on the realm. They say of those stars, only a select few, the biggest and the brightest, have been shining since the beginning, since whatever being first willed the Planescape into existence. And they say those stars represent the heroes who are always destined to be legends. Some have since revealed and proven themselves, and others still yet to come. And you have found, in more recent years, such legends reside on a small spelljammer called the Per Aspera. We begin thus, then, following the Per Aspera across the Sea of Stars, traveling back from her most recent mission. She glides across the ethereal waters with a steady and healthy hum, her translucent sails glittering in the starlight. It is a beautiful ship, at least when it's whole and working, and you found that such occasions are few and far between. Time after time, you've witnessed it be subjected to all sorts of damage, relentlessly bombarded, of all dangers, physical, environmental, magical. It is no small task, keeping such a vessel in prime working condition, and the constant upkeep would drive any other cat insane. But you have found that you are no ordinary cat, because the inhabitants of the Per Aspera safeguard her to you in their absence. Whenever they leave the ship, going off to do fucking whatever it is they do, they place the care of their most valuable asset in your protection. And for nearly 2 years, you have done a stellar job. Each time they return to their ship, battered, bleeding, and bruised, they are secure in the knowledge that they'll find it exactly as they left it. All thanks to you. You realize that no ordinary cat would be entrusted with this enormous task, and certainly no ordinary cat would successfully rise to the challenge. You realize, then, you must not be any ordinary cat. You must be highly skilled, you must be courageous, you must be legendary. You realize that you, Plug of the Per Aspera, are one of those heroes whose legends have been written in the stars since time immemorial. These 4 wayward souls would be lost and adrift if not for your ship keeping them on course. And so maintaining the health and well-being of the Per Aspera is a job that you take very seriously. For the burden of accepting such a responsibility can only be taken up by a legend such as yourself. We zoom into the interior of the ship, and we find ourselves in the engine room, a cramped space filled with piping and machinery. A large boiler-like contraption dominates one side of the space. It is adorned with various levers and valves, and it shimmers with a faint iridescent glow, a clear sign that it displays arcane properties. On the other side of the room, a greasy hammock is strung between 2 pipes. Its usual owner, not currently occupying the space, and so it is where we find you, Plug.
Wow.
So, I know that everyone knows Plug, but why don't you go ahead and describe him for us?
You see before you the most regal of mechanical cats. Indeed, one who has been beaten and battered, but nonetheless is polished to perfection from many a heated pass with its mechanical mouth. I am Sir Plug. Indeed, I am the most faithful steward of the Per Aspera and my beloved creator, Danny. A mechanical cat though I may be, accordioned in the middle, I am capable of making only the finest of AOL dial-up sounds. And as a result, I dedicate all of my existence, when not spent napping or creating chaos for the sprites in the kitchen, to protecting the Per Aspera and, more importantly, my liege, just Danny.
A very apt description, because it is sleeping how we find you, Plug, curled up into a ball, a gentle wheezing sound coming from the accordion-like bellows of your torso as you breathe in and out with a steady and calm me. You are... Alright.
Oh, it hurts.
You are asleep, but not for long. You find your slumber being disturbed by an odd sound. It is strange, it is metallic, it is rhythmic. Bing! 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 You could, try and ignore it and go to sleep, but you know that any possible danger to the Per Aspera will have to answer to you. So,
I rise
what do you?
with great haste from my slumber and look to where I assume a game of Lucky Bolt is being played at this time, prepared to duck and cover should I, too, become blue.
You look around, and next to your hammock, is a work table cluttered with various mechanical doodads and oil-stained sketches. Seated at the work table, you find your familiar blue fire genasi, Danny.
Oh, Danny. It's me.
As you have correctly guessed, she has a pile of bolts gathered next to her on the table. You watch her as she performs, admittedly an odd ritual, but one that you are now very well used to at this point. She takes a bolt from the pile, places it at the edge of the table, lines up a shot towards the large boiler-like contraption on the other end of the room, and flicks the bolt toward it, and you see it collide with the machine with a very satisfying ping. You watch as the contraption surge with energy, and that faint iridescent glow grow brighter and brighter and brighter before anticlimactically fizzling out back to equilibrium.
So scared that Danny was about to be an inciting incident.
You see Danny sort of slump in disappointment, and then she turns to notice you. Hey buddy, how you doing? And then you see she kind of goes to sort of scratch you in sort of under the chin and around the ears and the places where you like them.
I will reassuringly throw up on her shoe.
Plug! Dang it.
Take comfort, my liege.
So it's part of Plug.
It's a good thing you're so dang cute.
The part of Plug will be played by Sir Patrick Stewart.
I've watched a lot of Star Trek this week.
Samesies.
Yes. So this is your Just Danny. You've known her all your life. You've been there for her, protectively watching out for her, shielding her from danger. You know that your presence always puts a smile on her face. She especially likes it when you guys play Keep Away. She's always ready to sort of chase after you whenever you steal a tool or some sort of part that she needs. Very good for exercise, for keeping active. Well, she seems to pretty well receive the little gift that you give her.
Good. It comes from the heart, or in my case, the stomach area that you installed when you created me. Meow, she hears.
Yeah. Full disclosure, none of the weird little dudes will be able to communicate with their weird big dude. This dramatic rendition is only heard in the minds of Plugs and the other members of our session tonight here. Well, you are awake now, Plug, and you feel like this is a good time as any to do one of your routine inspections of the Per Aspera. At one time before you were able to do this on your own. It was just you and Danny and like the tall, weird metal guy. But especially in the last couple of years, the population of the Per Aspera has expanded quite considerably. And, you're a humble cat. You're willing to admit when, maybe a given job is maybe a little bit too big for just one being. Luckily, you've, taken the time to observe and watch some of the passengers on the ship, and you sort of identified a few who you think might be well suited to join your cause in protecting this ship Per Aspera. And so you decide that today is as good a day as any to, officially induct them into the cause. So of Austin, Red, and Wally, can I have you guys roll, let's say a d6, and we'll see who Plug approaches first.
Hold on.
I was gonna say, I gotta break out the d6.
You said it was d10s mostly.
Also, Sophia, I don't know if that was the personality you already had in mind for Plug, but I'm very, very glad that it seems to line up well with the inner monologue that I've
I
already
could not
written for
emphasize
him.
enough that Noir and I did not coordinate on this, but somehow both of us independently came to the same very funny conclusion that this cat should be a protector. Very duty-bound and honorable, but above all else, very much still a cat.
If this cat had class levels, he would be a paladin.
Yes.
I rolled a 6.
All right.
I rolled a 3, 4.
Okay. Let's do it in that order then. So, Plug, you decide to do the difficult task first. In your many tasks and services as steward of the Per Aspera, you never thought that one of those would be slaying a dragon, and yet here we are. You found yourself for a strange. At one point, you would have called him intruder, but maybe things have changed in more recent times. Yes, Kiana, who herself was the most recent acquisition of the crew of the Per Aspera. You like her. She's very friendly, and she's always very eager to play with you at any given chance. And, at first, you always have to be vigilant. You always have to be alert. Maybe this is some sort of cloying attempt to sort of get to get in your good graces so that your back will be turned when you least expect it. But yeah, it's been like a year. I think you're pretty confident that she's all right. And so you found it strange when she brought this, usurper on board, this intruder. You might have suspected that she brought him here against her own will. And so, as you do, you have spent your days in fierce combat with this dragon, essentially. Basically showing him who's the boss, where the line in the sand is drawn, metaphorically speaking. And after many such bouts, many such encounters, you seem to be in a place where you have successfully tamed this dragon. Yes, your fierce attacks, your fierce clawings at it, seem to have rendered a response in which the dragon is so scared that he is unwilling to even acknowledge your presence, basically. And so you think that you've basically got him under control. And the smart tactician that you are, what was once a former enemy might very well be a very powerful ally. And so you think that he is the first to induct into your cause. Red, so Kiana is on the deck right now. Where is Sunny found?
Sunny is probably draped across Kiana's neck like a scarf.
Okay. Would you like to reiterate and re-describe Sunny for the rest of the audience?
Yes, if I recall correctly, because we did get 2 pseudo-dragon descriptions at the same time, and they're a little bit muddled in my head. Sunny is a small and adorable pseudo-dragon, so basically looks like a very tiny dragon, but like proportionately like big head, little wings, just kind of very, very cute. And I believe Sunny has little gold scale sparkles on him?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
The gold eyes.
Can we go to the tape?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
You can't make me go back
Sort of
to the tape.
a salt and pepper sort of complexion, I believe.
Yeah, the
is
sort
what
of like
Wally
black and white
described it.
scales with little gold eyes and little gold sparkles.
I did watch the tape back. The majority of Sunny's body is black, but as it sort of transitions towards the neck and the head, more and more white spots sort of are visible and sort of converged until the head itself is fully white.
Thank goodness. I didn't realize there was going to be homework. Sorry.
Anyway, Sunny, what are you thinking as you are draped around Kiana's shoulders? You know, I mean, you haven't been alive for very long, and you probably have had a very colored life even now at your young age, and so what's going through your head, bud?
It's been like 2 weeks since I was born, something like that. Time doesn't pass in this dimension, so it's a little bit, but it's been very exciting. I think I'm trying to puzzle out what exactly a sun is, because whenever Kiana and I hang out, she brings it up, she thinks about it. So I've gotten like impressions of like something that's very bright and very gold, but there's a lot of other So I think currently my working theory is that a sun is one of those stars, but like closer. I think that's where I'm at right now. But
at 2 weeks, Sunny having a greater grasp of astrophysics and celestial bodies than maybe any other 2-week-old.
But critically, it's incorrect in this universe.
This is true.
So it's just like, okay, so it's round and glowy, and I know those things. Okay, yeah, I think I'm figuring this out. But yeah, I just can't imagine that it could be all that impressive. But we haven't seen it yet. So, you know, I just sort of have to work on the impressions I have from my telepathic link with Kiana, and it's interesting. You know, the ship it's big. I've been sort of trying to figure out how it works. I don't tend to leave Kiana unsupervised all that often. She gets into trouble a lot. But when I do explore around, I'll be honest, parts of the ship scare me a little bit. Specifically, its caretaker, who, yeah, you know what? I try to stay positive. I've only just kind of started existing. Life is a little bit confusing and big, but I think that everything's got a solution, and we can all just get along. I hope, but I don't know how that works yet. So, failing that, maybe I'll just hide from problems, if that's okay.
It seems as though now is the time to test your mettle, as you see emerging from sort of the... Where would Plug emerge from? Can Plug use hatches? I'm going to say yes.
All of
the
trapdoors on the ship were built with Plug in mind. Thank you very much.
Fair enough. You see emerging from the main trapdoor is the caretaker of the Per Aspera, Plug. And seems as though he's coming towards you, buddy.
Head swivels around, eyes lock in, telescoping as soon as they see Sunny. March.
Yeah. I guess for a little context, not too long ago, maybe like within the last 4 hours or so, you guys were probably like at each other's throats.
Yes.
Just most recently fighting. And so.
Yeah. So I think Sunny is gonna sidle around the back of Kiana's neck, but if you'd permit me, Kiana would immediately pick up Plug upon seeing him.
I was going to say, when Kiana does see Plug, she immediately goes to him and says, "Ah, hi, buddy," and then like and then again goes to sort of scratch and play with him.
Your aid is appreciated, blonde human.
Oh, who's so good? Cat? Robot cat. Yeah.
But positive.
All right, Plug, you're here to try and convince Sunny to aid you in your quest to make sure that the Per Aspera is A-okay.
Yeah, I'll immediately start clawing my way up Kiana's arm. My dearest Sunny,
Oh, okay,
please,
ow,
I
ow.
require your immediate audience. I hope you've recovered from our earlier skirmish. Sunny, where are you going? Come back here, and I'll just keep circling around until I
Just like up onto the top of the head.
Oh, not again, you guys! Ow! Okay. You see that you guys are using Kiana's arms, like human arms, as platforms and catwalks, of this encounter. But you see the both of you then being picked up by two
Unhand
gold
me.
glowing arms.
This is
Okay.
better.
I'm glad that you guys are trying to get along, but can you please not use me as it? I can be here, and you can see Kiana very carefully sort of set you guys both down on the deck of the Per Aspera. Yeah. Okay. Oof.
help. As I was saying, my dearest Sunny, I require an immediate audience. Ah! Stop that. Where are you going? Plot after. I invite you to join me on my regularly scheduled escapades, as it were, or in this particular case, more of a patrol of sorts. You see, I'm assembling something of a team. Where are you going? Stop walking backwards. Listen, look at people when they're talking to you.
Just like backed up against like the opposite. But
Yeah.
like, I think as soon as Sunny runs out of room, it's like, oh, okay. He's not licking me this time. This is already better.
Loom over.
Okay.
Pseudo dragon as much as possible. How would you like a job?
What? A job? I'm like, is that normal for... Okay.
It's incredibly normal. I don't know why you would assume anything otherwise. We are the caretakers and sole people responsible for this care and keeping of this ship and those on it. To do anything less than our best to protect it would be a failure. And we do not accept failure on the Per Aspera. Everything runs according to plan, always.
Sure.
Great. We have to go pick up some more people now. Come.
What?
I'll wrap my tail around one of her feet and start walking towards whatever the next location is.
Okay.
Okay. I think Austin was the one who rolled the next highest, and so we find ourselves, Plug and Sunny, heading towards Virla's room. Virla is probably the person second best. You were introduced to him in a very similar manner to how you were introduced to Danny. You found her, you woke up on a workbench, and she kind of had a very intense look of maybe like intense concentration or maybe even stress. But then upon seeing you, there was a very palpable look of relief and even joyousness as she realizes that you're awake. And you observed many same things when you saw Danny working on Virla. And since then, you've kind of learned to see him as a good ally, a friend to Danny, and so then, therefore, a friend to you. It's weird, though, because you kind of, like, sneeze every time you get near him. It's weird.
Achoo.
You're not really sure what that's up about. What's up with that, but anyway. Virla, though, is currently piloting the ship as he does many a time. However, you guys head to his room, where you can see climbing out of his satchel, which is sort of draped across a chair next to his table where he studies at. Austin, would you like to describe your weird little dude?
Yes, so I would hesitate to even say he's climbing out. Just sitting on the satchel, completely
There we go.
unmoving. You see a mechanical wasp. A little bit bigger than, your typical wasp that you would see around is, but, still pretty small. Tiny little mechanisms, those, narrow wings, and a stinger, large insect eyes, just sits unmoving. As you guys walk into the room, you see he's not quite turned to the door, just horror movie slow turns his head to look at you, and then so slowly turns his head back to neutral position. This is the wasp that Maxim sent to Virla as a, hey, I'm still working on the staff, so come back for that one day. And he's just been hanging out ever since.
Right. Does the wasp go by a name, or is there a name?
I don't know that anyone's ever asked. I don't know if anyone's asked its name.
Oh, the ball's not here.
The ball often disappears and is in fact quite unreliable. Instead, I have selected our next team member due to their constant presence, Bugman.
What?
Slowly turns their head to look at you, says nothing.
Perhaps you might grace us with your presence.
Is this a command?
Yes, very much so. Everything I say is a command and should be taken incredibly seriously.
What a relief. Thank you. Wings buzz lands immediately in front of you. What task would you have me do?
We are charged with the defense and patrol of this ship, but first we must gather the last member of our party. Are you prepared to assist in such a function?
I would die for such a function.
What is happening?
I put a paw on top of the little wasp head. Good man. You are a creature of honor this day. I'll start turning around and plodding off to wherever the last little dude is.
Of course, something Maxim built is
Please do
pure
not
lawful
saddle me with
neutral.
personality.
With no other classifier or name to be called by than Bugman, it seems like this is the moniker with
Bugman.
which you have been dubbed.
Do you have like a serial number or something?
I would prefer that you not saddle me with any identity or identifiers. I am but one drone.
But
So
you're the only
if you
drone
wish, you
here.
may call me you drone.
Okay, drone doesn't sound like a nice name, but if it's your name, it's gotta be good.
That's not for me to decide, nor is it my name.
I'm confused.
You get the sense that perhaps this single drone was perhaps part of a larger collective, who has then since been separated from the rest of his pack, reasons unknown to him. But stalwart as ever, he has decided to maintain course as far as his personality is concerned. We see you guys exit then your room, Virla's room, towards your final member, or should I rather say members. Wally is currently in his bedroom. The Pixies aren't necessarily beholden to be staying with Wally. Where do the
Finbar?
Pixies...
Finbar.
Where...
So he's staying with Finbar.
Wally has
did I
real
say?
manifest
Magic.
magic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
now, canonically.
Well, I got isekai'd.
Yeah.
I'm realizing what you're saying now, Austin. This was a moment when I just came back into existence and realized that I'm here in the present hosting a session.
It's
anyway.
upsetting whenever that happens. Like, you get into it
Yeah.
and you're like, thrust back.
Anyway, the Pixies not beholden to staying with Finbar. So Wally, where do Plug and the others find the Pixies?
Where else but the kitchen?
Very well. And would you like to introduce them, each one individually in excruciating detail?
Yes, actually. So
Yes,
upon
yes.
entering the kitchen, there is one old pixie leaning over a bent plastic knife, shouting commands at some of the other pixies. All right, salt, pepper. Make sure we get everything put into place. We don't want the captain looking at our quarters looking all sloppy. And I beg your parsley, Captain Plug.
This is Old Bay.
Yes,
Or-
this is Old Bay
Okay.
taking the lead.
Greetings, Old Bay, and Plug will jump up onto a nearby shelf or counter, whatever is most accessible to me, and kind of perch for this conversation.
Am I still tethered to Plug?
I would have released you if I saw you were following. Thank you very much.
Okay, then I'm just up on the highest shelf.
Old Bay will salute. You're right on time. The kitchen is now spick and pan, and we are ready for our daily rounds.
Excellent. I expect nothing less from the finest members of our crew. These will be our
It's been happening daily.
assistants for this particular set of rounds. We have high hopes for their eventual ability to better the ship and, more importantly, protect my Danny and the rest of the crew.
Old Bay takes a look around and says, guess they all have to do. All right. Dill, Ginger, Nutmeg, get your stuff together. We're about to head out.
I'll push something
You
off
see
a shelf for
flurry of
good
other
measure.
Pixies. Yeah, the kitchen is a place that you frequent often, Plug. It is a frequent stop in your routine. You are gracious enough to try on many occasions whatever new dish Finbar is cooking up. It seems he doesn't seem very confident in his work, however, because every time that you try and taste it, for his sake, he seems to shoo you away. He seems to be kind of embarrassed by his work. It's weird. I don't know. But what can you do? You can't instill confidence in others. You can only show others the confidence that you yourself exude and hope that a little bit rubs off on everyone else.
Straighten my little bandana a little bit.
Okay.
Drone watches all the cleaning going up and then watches Plug give an order and all the Pixies start to muster up. And Drone will turn towards Sunny and say, I had no idea that the inhabitants of the ship were so militant. If I had any emotions of my own, I would feel relief.
Yeah, I knew this was happening totally, for sure, the whole time. I pay a lot of attention to stuff.
Drone begins to feel suspicious and then realizes that's not his place and stops.
If I had emotions, smacking my emotions down with a stick. Oh yeah, Maxim built this one for sure.
All right. Plug, your posse assembled. It is now time for you to make your rounds. So I will summarize this in a check, basically. Can I have everyone make a quick check? So roll
So
a
is
d10.
that rolling a d10 plus?
Yep, plus the modifier that's next to your ability.
Okay.
You will be very proud. I am quite quick.
I will say this is a standard check, and so a 6 and above will succeed, and a 5 and under will succeed not as well.
Softball on this one.
Captain.
I got an 8. Hey.
7.
Joan got an 8 as well. Okay, so everyone succeeds. You all are fairly familiar with the ship at this point, and so you actually find, Plug, that it is pretty easy to basically divide the power and divide the ship into segments in which everyone can inspect. Sunny, you are tasked with inspecting the deck, and Drone follows you as well as he checks first Virla's room and then the 2 rooms that are atop the deck, one currently occupied with a terrarium, a garden of sorts, sort of bathed in a very warm red glow. The other one, Drone, you sort of squeeze under the doorway, and you find yourself in a pretty dark room. There is this gold thing in the middle. You don't know what it does, but it is mechanical like you. And you can see that you can see areas where there are notches, kind of in a circuit-like pattern, or in notches that also have arcane runes. And you see sort of a pile of this shiny golden yarn or whatever. You don't know what to make of it. But it doesn't seem... Pixies, you observe the kitchen as well as going into Finbar's room, and Plug, you take a sweep of the engine room. Everyone tasked with basically keeping an eye out for anything hinky, anything that might seem awry. For most everyone, everything seems to be in tip-top shape. Plug, as you approach the engine room, you start to hear a sort of sound of someone unscrewing something that hasn't necessarily been unscrewed in a while, coupled with a very like slow scraping sound of like metal on metal, like.
This does not sound like my beloved Danny. I will use one of the trapdoors through the kitchen to sneak into one of the more crowded shelves in the engine room to perceive as sneakily as possible.
All right. Can I have you then make a sly check?
Yes, you can. Ooh. Cats are good at this. 8.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. I set it as a challenging DC because well, for reasons that I'll reveal later. But you proceed unnoticed. You find yourself in sort of one of the in an area atop the engine room, sort of allowing you a bird's eye view. You take a sweep of the place. You're facing the wall that's adjacent to the kitchen, and so you're facing kind of the back, what would be the back of the ship. And so the large boiler-like contraption, which everyone here at this point knows is the motive force generator, is on the left side, and on the right side you see Danny. Not really. She has since stopped playing Lucky Bolt, and you can see that she's now sketching something on her work table, seemingly sort of engrossed in her work and not seeing at the motive force generator. A valve, a sort of red valve, unscrew and pop itself off. You're kind of your view is a little bit obscured just by the piping that's sort of in the way, but you saw sort of a red tendril-like thing sort of grab at it and pull it away. And in addition, you now hear this scraping metal on metal sound sort of increase and fade away from you. And in addition, you can also hear a more subtler sound. It's gooey, is really how I can describe it. And I'm not very good with gooey sounds, and I don't think you want to hear gooey sounds, so I'm not going to do it. No.
We can add them in post.
No, we're not gonna do that though.
But you can hear both. You can hear both sort of recede in the way that you came. They seem to be going through another one of the trapdoors that leads into the engine room. You had sort of found yourself more on the top. They're kind of going through the bottom.
Well, I must of course give chase, but first I want to alert my Danny to the issue with the engine, so I will first knock something off of a shelf to gain her attention. Danny! Daddy! I will shout, which I assume comes out in a series of bajoops.
R2 noises.
Yeah. You see like a tin can that's filled with like monkey wrenches and stuff, and you just kind of like bat it over.
That's the loudest thing I can think of.
Yeah, you see it cascade. Let's make it worse. You see it cascade down like a series of pipes, and so it makes a bit of like a continued very loud mechanical noise. Danny, sort of with a startle, sort of turns up back towards the source of the noise and up at you and said, "Plug, don't do that. Come on."
Back arched, haunches ready. I will leap towards the pipe where the valve has just been unscrewed, in order to draw her eye.
Yeah. So the valve is connected to the motive force generator, and it is at the bottom. So you would essentially be jumping from like a top shelf, kind of now more towards the bottom.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Yeah. So you now with a better view, kind of now looking at the wall that you were just at, but downwards more. You see receding into the trap door, this red sort of blobby, not substance, because it seems to be moving of its own accord, but you can see that in its grasp it has the valve. And a little bit further on, but now a little bit too far away for you to detect, is another being. It seems to be 5-legged, oddly enough, but like it has 3 legs on one side and 2 on the other, so it has a very lopsided appearance, and this lopsided appearance makes for a lopsided gait, which is resulting in that scraping metallic sound that you were hearing. So 2 figures receding away, one of which has the valve in hand.
Well, it only makes sense for me to pursue the valve-carrying one, so if I am confident that Danny's attention has been drawn to the floor where the area of attention is required, I will pursue down the hatch.
Are you going to call out, say something, or
split the party?
Yeah.
Knowing that the Pixies are in the kitchen, Plug will shout, "Old Bay, ready your men, the hunt is on, and jump into the pipe.
All right. Old Bay, and I'll say at this point, the other two of you, Sunny and Drone, have reconvened with Old Bay and the rest of the Pixies at this point. So all of you hear across, through the wall, from the engine room to the kitchen, you hear Plug cry out, unfortunately. That does mean that, unfortunately, the two figures who seem to be absconding with this valve also hear you as well. And you see the red blob sort of ripple as if it was sort of excited by, like, sort of jostled by something, and drop the valve and then scurry away a bit faster. I suspect all of you sort of go in and join.
Convene, yeah.
Yeah. So you all find yourselves at the sort of the entrance of this hatch going in. You know, or maybe you don't all know, but Plug definitely knows that a more recent modification of the ship was the installation of what you can only describe as a labyrinth, basically. A maze-like series of connections and corridors that allows for transport between two places on the ship that would otherwise be pretty difficult to get to. So, like, in a rather quick amount of time, you can get from, like, the cargo deck, which is below, to, like, above deck, essentially. And it seems as though this network of systems is where these two figures are sort of running away from. You all, I guess, in your fervor, attempt to go pursue when a number of things happen. You hear over sort of an intercom-like system, which is the sending stone system that Danny had installed, an announcement from the pilot. We are approaching the location. Please stow all tray tables. And then a number of things happen, some of which familiar, others not so. You feel the familiar feeling of the ship tipping over, and then a feeling of weightlessness as the ship kind of goes vertical. You know this as the descent from the astral sea into one of the colored pools into another plane of existence. What is then unfamiliar is the following. You hear a loud crashing noise, what can only be described as glass or something, a very faint and then the ship continues to fall vertically.
Oh no.
And you are essentially finding yourself in free fall.
What's this?
Everyone, I think, let's do that. Let's make it another quick check, essentially.
Does the wasp
will be
who flies
challenging.
have to make this check?
I would have to say that the 3 of 4 of us that can fly.
Yeah, most everyone. I'll say that everyone except Plug can do so with advantage.
Oh.
So you can roll it again.
Tyranny.
All right. 9.
Jail for Noir.
Okay.
Jail for 10,000 years.
I'm so glad. I was wondering when exactly this was happening, and I like that we have it down to the exact round that this happened.
That is an 11.
Oh, nice.
That's an 11 as well for
10.
Pixies.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
A natural 10 for a total of 12.
Amazing. Everyone,
Like tread.
everyone is able to successfully, as the ship goes into free fall, find purchase. Plug. This valve has been undisturbed for your entire tenure on the Per Aspera, and now the moment that it is removed, something weird is happening. This needs to be rectified immediately.
This is unacceptable. We are putting everyone at the ship on risk, but these mechanical systems are so finely tuned by the smartest artificer I have ever known and had the pleasure of being created by. After them.
All right.
Is this a new order?
Wait, it dropped the valve, right?
Yeah, they dropped the valve,
Oh.
and so it's at the. You can sort of see it as the
Gotcha.
at the mouth of the trap. You have the correct intuition that
At the mouth
eventually
of the
you
what?
should. At the mouth of the trap door. What did I say?
Trap door. You said trap.
Oh no.
I was already planning on charging in blindly, but now I'm extra planning on doing that.
No. You have good intuition that eventually we'll have to go and pursue them, but right now, priorities first. You should probably fix the ship Plug, and the rest of you as well. So we will enter effectively what is a sort of skill challenge. If anyone has, so I will say this: the tasks that you need to accomplish are as the ship is going into free fall, the valve is slowly starting to kind of escape your reach. And so one of which would have to be acquiring the valve. The other would then be making sure that the valve gets to where it needs to be. Correct, like what I mean to say is like correctly identifying where on the motive force generator it needs to be, and then finally affixing the valve back onto the motive force generator. And so if anyone has anything that they would like to offer as far as who would want to try and accomplish which, I will say for the sake of things that maybe, one person doesn't do everything, So
I'm gonna use all my powers and then dip. Yeah. I will quickly look the plug and say, orders.
Yes, of course. Bugman, retrieve the valve.
Understood. I will use
In what sense is he a man?
wizard digits.
He's just a bug.
Light telekinesis with limited fine control. I will brace myself. My antennas go straight, and I will use a light electromagnetic pull to grab the valve and bring it back so it stops falling away from us.
Amazing. Yeah, I will basically treat. If you utilize spells, you can always, try an ability check. You can always try to do something, and then that would be, done by an ability check as well.
I was given a command. I will not fail.
If you decide to use one of your spells, that is considered basically a success. So, yes, normally as the ship goes and enters free fall, that valve would have fallen further and further down into the trap door, into this corridor. However, thanks to the quick thinking of Drone, you see that while Drone, Sunny, and the Pixies are hovering in place, Plug sort of finding purchase on
all four Pauls are in
wall.
different corners of the vent.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Summer glowing it.
Yeah. You see that the valve is staying in its place. All right. So okay, I guess from the way that it's been described, Plug, you are at the mouth of the hatch. And so we now find ourselves, I didn't intend this, but I'm rolling with it. We find ourselves in a Mission Impossible situation. Where you can essentially treat this hatch, this corridor as vertical, and Plug has a paw in every corner, and at the and not at the bottom, but suspended in air is the valve.
This is task completed to satisfaction.
Please, my good Bugman, take the valve out of this hatch to the entrance from which we entered.
Understood. And I will I have light telekinesis. I'll just bring it up to us.
I will say, I think it does specify fine motor control, or limited fine motor control.
This is true.
I will say then, just for the sake of making things maybe a little bit interesting, to make a, let's do another quick check. Because quick seems to be associated with, dexterity.
Dexterity,
seems.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll be quick as hell. That is a total of 6.
Okay, excellent. It's just a standard thing. And so you see Drone expertly maneuver the valve sort of in between, like under your armpit, in between your arm and your leg and your torso. And it sort of rises above you. You kind of crane your neck backwards, Plug, and you can see now that it has risen and it is, now on the same level as the motive force generator. Excellent. One task completed.
If it
now
were
for
to
the
derive
others.
joy from doing something,
Can
it would be in
the
this.
Pixies, who are they kind of linked arms in a giant circle as they're floating in the air,
Skydiving style.
can they sort of float over and try to screw the valve back on?
That would be a great thing to do. You need to first identify where the valve goes.
I recall watching the valve be unscrewed in the first place. If I were to resume my previous position, could I perhaps guide the Pixies in this attempt?
Sure.
I'd like to
let's
scoot
make
up
this-
the thing. I assume it's a check.
Yeah, let's make it another quick check so that you don't fall.
8.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. A kind of challenging encounter, but you're able to succeed nonetheless. You shimmy yourself up the hatch and then very carefully reorient yourself so that now you're facing back into the
Like a
engine room.
gyroscope around the middle, and the paws just all circle around.
I can't even visualize that, but I'm going to take you at your word.
I can, and it's weird.
But now with a better sort of viewpoint, you are now able to identify sort of the bare threading and pipe, and indeed sort of like you can see like steam. No, that's not how valves work. Never mind. You see like the bare threading where the valve used to go, and so you're able to redirect the Pixies as to where it should go. Pixies, then, can I have you do another quick check? Really doing a lot of heavy lifting this one.
That's a 9.
But that's okay. Excellent.
Ooh.
All right. You guys have worked as a team your entire life. For as long as you've basically, had the will to live, been willed into live. You know, you've worked well as a team, both, as your own unit and then with Finbar as well. And so with no trouble at all, you all are able to coordinate in a very elegant, synchronized swimming fashion. Everyone to sort of attach the valve onto the thread, rotate it, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey,
Right,
righty-tighty, and successfully affix the valve onto the motive force generator.
Ginger and Pepper are kind of like the muscle in the Pixies. Ginger has this like leather jacket, fingerless gloves, and Dill has goggles on her head and grease all over her body, and they both spin their hands and give it a nice little turn as it pops right back into place.
All right, awesome. All right, you think that might have worked, and indeed, you find the ship sort of begin to right itself and then reach a sort of equilibrium. In that interim, a couple things have happened, basically. Danny, the one that you most notice is Danny, as she flies up and hits the roof of the engine room.
I'm sorry, I'll reload this twice.
And then by the time that the ship rights itself, you see her fall right onto the motive force generator.
No!
You see that, with a bit of apprehension, you see that the motive force generator glows, and then sort of bursts out, the overload of arcane energy seemingly having triggered this lucky bolt this time. You brace yourself for the worst that could happen, but you all seem to be coated with this glittering, sort of shimmering shield effect. But otherwise, you seem okay, which is very lucky.
Can I run over to Danny on the floor and just lick anywhere where she impacted the floor?
Yeah, you can see that there's like a dark blue spot on her forehead, which is sort of like a bruise that has sort of appeared and is like, thanks.
Lick
but
sounds.
What the fuck was that? You see Finbar then enter the room. He says, Danny, you good? Everything all right? And you see Danny then get up. I'm fine! And she pulls out one of her sending stones, which she uses to communicate with the rest of the ship. Virla, what the fuck, man? You hear a response that isn't Virla, but rather Kiana. Virla's not in right now. What do you mean Virla's not in right now? Virla went through the bubble. Through the bubble? You have this seems pretty serious. You don't know what the fuck is going on. Anyway, before you guys are even able to sort of get your bearings, you hear, not through the sending stone, but kind of faintly on the ship, I hear you, buddy! And then you feel yourselves all sort of flatten to the ground as you all begin rising rapidly. There's an abrupt stop as you guys sort of like stop, basically, as you come to equilibrium. And then, bam! The whole ship rocks as you feel something crash into the deck of the ship. You hear on the intercom again, Danny, I found him! What do you mean you found him? Finbar, can you get on tech, like, now, please? And then Finbar says, I'm coming. And you see then Finbar and Danny exit the engine room. Danny sort of gives you Plug a pat on the head before rushing up to the top of the deck. Congratulations, guys! You guys successfully saved the ship! Amazing!
I think Sonny is having really, really weird double vision from his always-on sort of telepathic link with Kiana, who actually knows what actually just happened.
Yes. Whether you're brave enough to announce what has actually happened, that's up to you.
No,
All
it's
right.
very important to plug that we just saved the ship, I think.
Excellent
Drawing will
work.
nod of the Pixies. I approve of the teamwork, though not necessarily the unique visual signifiers of identity.
Every time Austin
Damn.
plays the most pathetic character known to man, it's great.
I love playing just a sad dude.
Our work is not done, although I command everyone on the swift action. We must
Oh yeah.
pursue the cause of this strange happenstance that would threaten our ship so.
Old Bay kind of
The
stands
thing
up,
in the tubes.
cracks his back, and says, well, we better go catch up to him.
Sonny, why do you look so frightened? You must master your
No,
fear.
no, nothing. Everything's cool. I think, like, I'm getting, like, the background radiation of Kiana being like, how screwed are we from the Lady of Pain? And Sunny's like, I don't know what a Lady of Pain is, but it sounds bad, and I hope it's not in the ship.
Yeah, Sonny, you have a very weird foreboding feeling, and you don't know where it's necessarily coming from, but you know that it's not good.
Captain, I'm sensing hostility.
You do know that something has impacted the deck of your ship, and so far, you know, thinking about priorities that you got to put in order, there is this, you know, collection of bad guys that seem to have escaped into the corridors, but at the same time, there seems to be something that Danny herself is concerned with, and you think that if Danny's concerned about it, then it's probably like, something serious. So,
Yeah.
I will say that in the time being, you guys instead join Danny and Finbar and Kiana at the deck of the ship, where you arrive just in time to hear Danny say, "My ship!" As indeed a large crater is formed on the deck of the ship, and in the middle of it is Virla, oddly enough.
It's kind of shaped like a guy.
Yeah. Looking back, you see that the back of the glass dome that the helm is within has also shattered. Something weird has happened here.
Boy, that valve was really important, huh?
That scoundrel damaging Danny's ship. Hatchoo!
Yeah. I will say that this scene ends for now, and we will sort of transition. In the interim, there have been... Virla has come to. Finbar has healed Virla. And we all we reconvene in the middle of the scene. Everyone is in the kitchen, the main four of the Per Aspera, as well as a newcomer. You've only known her for not very long, but she is a very tall being, even taller than Finbar. And she kind of has to like stoop in order to make herself fit into the kitchen. She's blue like Finbar. Austin, am I describing a mercane correctly? She has like antennas. Yeah.
They have like, I think they have like horns that come off their head and like big white hair.
Yeah. So like protrusions coming out from like her forehead, and she seems to speak with a very haughty sort of tone. Like, yes. You're less concerned with what's happening. More so, you can take this opportunity to instead sort of discuss what exactly it is you guys saw, and perhaps think of a plan of attack as far as taking them on.
It seems we have some sort of interloper living in the vents of this ship. I had previously thought those to be the safest location. That's why I've procured the deed to the ship and stored it there, just in case, of course, of any incidents of this nature. But obviously now there are a few priorities we must discuss. Namely, how do we catch such a creature as lives amongst our very walls?
I mean, shouldn't we just go in after them?
Shouldn't we exterminate rather than catch an intruder into our own hive? I'm sorry, that was out of line. I apologize.
No, I think we're all kind of on the same page on that one.
It seems like there's a couple of rotten eggs below deck.
Very well, then it seems we have little choice but to begin pursuit. I would propose that we start such action from the point at which we first saw them. The engine room, perhaps.
As you guys sort of conclude this conversation, Plug, and sort of the niggling back of your mind, you sort of have this feeling of this thought of, yes, obviously, the correct and just response is to pursue these hijackers of our ship. But it is also concerning that you keep a pretty tight ship, so to speak, and you're kind of kicking yourself that such a thing has been able to let itself get in under your eyes. And you're trying to sort of think, because you've, caught like mice and shit in the
They never stood a chance.
in the ship, and successfully rid the ship of those plagues. But this might be something more for it to sort of escape your eyes. If only there was a being who was more experienced as far as encountering such beings and such beasts, someone that you could maybe ask and heed the advice of. And at that moment, you hear a large thunk on the side of the ship. Looking towards one of the portholes, you see the glowing red eye of a familiar spider-like retriever, and you hear Kiana say, "Cressida's here!" Yeah, it seems as though not everyone, I don't believe Sunny is, nor is Drone, but everyone else is familiar with Cressida, the bounty hunter who had kidnapped Kiana turned ally. But more importantly, Lula, the spider-like retriever who is the sole person responsible of making sure Cressida gets to wherever it is she needs to go.
Oh, she's so cool.
An arachnid assaults us. Queen Plug, would you like me to terminate with extreme prejudice?
Okay.
No. Kiana
Bug,
likes
take
her.
a chili pill. It's a friend.
Bugman, it is acceptable at this time to hold the fort, and you need not go on the attack.
I live to serve.
You see.
You can't take this anymore.
You see the rest. You see the rest of the crew sort of back up and sort of exit the table. They make their way out of the kitchen, and they seem to be going topside, seemingly to meet Cressida and Lula. Lula, is a pretty experienced and well-traveled bounty hunter. She has had her fair share of scraps with monsters of all sorts. You think that she's a good resource as any to maybe try and figure out what the heck is going on here. And so, I would say that you guys follow the rest of the group topside.
Mm-hmm.
You are joined by two faces, one of which is Cressida and Lula. The other is another mechanite, much like Virla. However, like his torso and his chest is oddly like hollow, and you can kind of see what looks to be like another face kind of facing backwards. Currently, he seems to be rather calm and even rather sort of amenable and contributing to the conversation. But you guys aren't concerned with him. You guys are more concerned with Lula. And so you approach.
Lula!
Hi guys! How's it going? Oh, it's been too long. How have you been?
It is indeed good to see that you are well. We've been fine.
I'm sure, yeah.
You're so shiny.
Ah, yes, this is the
hello.
latest member of our crew. Don't scream. Sunny.
Hi, Sunny. It's nice to meet you.
Hello,
wait.
It's nice to meet you too.
Your greetings are momentarily interrupted as Kiana sort of scratches Lula kind of around, like in the head around one of the eyes, and you can hear like a very satisfactory sort of tap 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 tapping sound as Lula seems to sort of enjoy that.
She loves
and then
you
you
so
also
much.
You then get a very much closer look as Kiana picks you up and just kind of holds you in front of Lula. Oh,
Hello again.
great. Hello. It's nice to meet you. I don't think I'm familiar with you as well. And you can see that she turns to the other kindred mechanical spirit. Hi, I'm Lula. What's your name?
Drone, that's you.
Looking at Drone, yeah.
He's like for the second time panicking with the like crisis of identity.
That's Drone.
I am referred to for ease as Drone. Do not mistake this as a name.
Well, okay. Well, nice to meet you. Drone, not a name. And,
I will determine if
Pixie?
it's nice to meet you after being told by Queen Plug.
Plug is a dude. I feel like I should.
You're the Queen of the Hive.
Queen is gender neutral.
Accurate.
Queen is gender neutral here. You're the Queen of the Hive.
Pixies, nice to see you all again. Nice to know that you're all in
They all
spirits.
clamor around
I know.
her legs, toss little pixie dust. Old Bay says, "Comrade."
Yeah, you can see that she sort of gives a nod. Well, you guys okay? You guys made quite an entrance, I gotta say. Falling and then rising, and then Virla falling again. It was pretty wild. A lot of the enforcers are sort of looking and stuff.
That is troubling to hear that we have attracted such attention. It's best often in this case for ships of this size and this particular business to remain under the radar of authorities. We saw such in our journey to that place with the weird ball in the sky where sometimes it was dark and sometimes it was not. Sunny, what would you call that?
What? You got to see a ball in the sky?
But
Wait,
You
did the
mean
ball go up and down? This is very
it
important.
just rotated around in a circle.
Oh, okay.
Were you talking about the sun?
Have you seen it?
No, this was very different from
Well-
the sun.
Oh.
I don't know if
Have
they
you
call
seen
it the sun. I've seen a lot of different suns. I've seen one that kind of works in the way that that Plug just described it. But the one that I'm more familiar with is well, I'm not familiar with it necessarily. I've been underground a lot, but the plane where I used to reside on is the one that kind of goes up and down and has light and dark.
Yeah,
periods
Kiana's been
of
telling
time.
me about it. I really want to see it sometime, but we're really busy, so.
What are you busy with?
We are attempting to find some interlopers who may have caused the issues when we first entered the city. It is of utmost importance that we drive any intruders out of our ship, you understand.
Oh, interlopers. Yeah, that seems pretty serious. Have you caught them yet? Do you know, what's up?
Queen Plug, I suspect this Lula is trying to undermine your authority. I would be remiss not to point this out in your own protection.
No, she's cool. She's so cool.
I appreciate your
Well,
looking
I'm
out for me,
sorry,
Drone, but for the time being, I think it is best that we place our trust in Lula, as you are a eminent expert on some threats that we may not be familiar with. Have you ever encountered a red blob with like 5 legs that might run through some vents or whatnot? It looked kind of bug-like.
Red blob. Oh, well, there were the, well, I'm a bug. I don't have 5 legs. You're not talking about me, though, I don't think.
No. You're great. This was a lot smaller and grosser. You're not
Oh, I
gross
mean,
at all. It's gross. They were gross, but you're not. Okay.
Well, there were those weird bug things that was at, like, the triangle-y thingy that we all went to. I don't know if you remember.
Oh,
I recall I
yes.
was on board the ship attending to its safety.
Well, they were on the ship. They were trying to get to the ship. I'm pretty sure.
Did I
you
exist
cast-
yet when this happened?
No.
Sunny did not. Sunny is not
Okay.
a drone, and neither is Drone for that matter. But you cast your mind back and you realize that you're referring to a mission that you had went on, both the crew of the Per Aspera, Sans, Drone, and Sunny, plus Cressida and Lula. You guys went to a location out in the Astral Sea where you saw this pyramid-type structure, and Plug was staying on top of the ship and observing that it happened, but, these fucking idiots, they got outside, and the moment they stepped on, like, a bunch of, like, these weird spider creatures immediately started downpouring and trying to attack the ship. Like, come on, amateur hour over here. Anyway, you realize that that's what she's talking about. You don't know the name for them, but they're kind of like gear-like arachnids.
I don't believe that they matched the description of the creature I only saw a glimpse of earlier. It was red and blob-like, kind of like when you cough up a bunch of wires or something.
Oh, I know that there are some creatures that sort of can sort of change their form to look like other creatures. Not like through magic or anything. Although maybe it is magic, but like their entire form is all blobby and gooey. They're red, and they usually prey on, people.
Oh.
And...
the
Oh, wait a
thing.
minute! There's that. I'm remembering something.
What is it,
There
Sonny?
was the
Sonny,
big red
you-
Bobby thing.
Sonny, you do cast your mind back to your most recent adventure, actually.
Yeah.
You found yourselves in a world of no orbs, unfortunately, but a bunch of cubes.
A lot of cubes. The cubes were pretty cool.
Yeah. You guys had stationed yourself on one cube, and you had let and you had seemingly the Per Aspera was hovering a safe distance away, but you had let the rope down so that everyone can descend properly, and from what you can see, Plug, and what you could sense, Sonny, there was a skirmish on the surface of one of those cubes involving the crew and this red blobby-like object that Lula seems to be referring to, although on a much, much larger scale. This is definitely not of the same size. But it does seem to match the description of what you saw, at the very least. Oh, those guys are dangerous. Like they can, if they get too big, then they'll kind of like spit out a little one of them, and then that little one of them will grow and grow and grow until it becomes another big one.
Oh no.
And if that one gets too big, it'll spit off another little one, and then that'll grow and grow and grow. And then when that one gets bent, and then,
Oh no, this does not sound good. We better hurry up and catch it. This, oh my god.
No, this demands to be taken care of with utmost speed.
yeah, I would be careful, because it could be anything, Yeah, especially if it seems to be sentient enough to be walking around and seems to be doing something. I don't know, but I guess wherever you decide to go take it on, I'd just be careful of who you run into there.
Oh no.
But that's kind of all that I have. And then you see Lula's attention is sort of diverted by Cressida, who seems to be going off, sort of separating from the rest of the group, along with the other Mechanite with the other head in his chest. I have to go, you guys. I'm really sorry, but it was so great catching up with you all. And I hope that we get to sort of talk to each other more soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
It was nice meeting you for the first time, Sonny, and
thank
you
you.
too, Drone. You are not an individual. Yeah.
Yeah?
And
Yeah.
I
hope-
recommend not forgetting it.
I hope that gives you not joy, but the emotionally devoid version of joy. Yeah.
I turn to Plug. This Lula plays in vagaries and plays in vagueness and niceties. I suspect that perhaps she withholds information to plot our downfall.
No, she's great. Bye, Lula. Have fun.
I believe
That is not for
this
you to
Lula
decide.
this Lula is making her exit. Perhaps we shall allow one danger to leave our ship so that we may focus our attention on the more pressing issue.
You see that Lula then rejoins Cressida and Helevin, and you can see that Lula gives a little wave with one of her legs before the three of them vanish off to their next location, presumably. Okay, crew of the Per Aspera, you now have your quarry and a more robust idea of who your targets are. I think this might be a good place then to take a break, as when we resume, we will then delve into the labyrinthine corridors of the Per Aspera to seek out and destroy this latest threat.
Yes.
If that is what Plug wants.
See you guys.
Rolling with difficulty.
Hi, I'm Austin, and thank you for listening to Rolling with Difficulty. We've been thrilled to have you tagging along for the adventures of the Per Aspera. Rolling with Difficulty recently launched a new way to support the podcast, our Patreon.
In addition to helping make this program possible, patrons get access to all sorts of bonus content directly from myself and from the rest of the cast, so save those wish rings for later. Rewards include monthly Discord hangouts, additional character and NPC info, bonus stories from the Planescape, art sheets, and more. Right now, new patrons will even have access to our special launch bonus, the playtest for the College of Feasts Bard subclass, inspired by our very own Elise. Check out the link in the description below to browse these and all the benefits awaiting patrons, and thank you to everyone for supporting Rolling with Difficulty. We'll see you out there on the Astral Sea.
Rolling with Difficulty.
Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, so last we had left off, Plug and his new posse of protectors had discovered their latest threat to the Per Aspera, what seems to be a tiny Oblex spawn and a clockwork horror of some kind. What purposes they're trying to accomplish on the Per Aspera is currently unknown, but you can't assume that it's very good. With enough information garnered with the thanks of Lula, and assuming that everyone has taken their own personal time to, center themselves and get into the right mindset and mind space to be able to, attack such a creature, you all reconvene at the engine room, back down, looking into the hatch that you had been looking in right before the ship had gone tits up, basically.
Right, well. This mission, men, may very well be dangerous. We may encounter unforeseen difficulties even though this is our home turf. I ask you to remain stalwart, and remember why we are doing this. For our crew. They are incapable of keeping this ship safe without our help, and for that reason, we must be vigilant, and we must be brave. Who's with me?
Yeah.
Pixies all holding up plastic utensils.
Yes.
Cheer.
As you command.
Plastic no cannon to the planescape.
No cannon.
It comes from the plastic dimension. It's totally eco-friendly in the long run. It's great.
Yeah. All right.
It's eco-friendly?
Anyway.
Eco? Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to derail the podcast over this. Eco?
I don't know what.
Well, oh, I'm sorry. Was it my pronunciation that's through you?
Yeah, it's weird when it's aimed at someone else, isn't it?
I'm used to Sophia being the butt of it, and so there's a very quick and immediate response. Mm-hmm. And so,
I'll let you off the hook.
It just sounds better if the E sound in it rhymes with the E in friendly, eco-friendly.
Oh, it could sound better, but it would sound wrong.
I will lead the charge into the vents.
All right, and with a spirited huzzah from you all proceed forward. So, Plug, you are probably the most familiar with the corridors, but admittedly, you really only have confined your path to maybe like 2 or 3 routes. Generally, the entire makeup of this network is more or less unknown to you. And so I will treat this as a skill challenge, basically. Given enough successes, you guys will correctly navigate your way through your way through the network and towards your ultimate goal. I guess just to set the scene, the corridors are not the corridors you find do not just connect room to room. You find that there are also little crawl spaces sort of in between the walls of the ship, in between the floors of the ship, that these corridors also have access to. Sort of as you begin to sort of walk and you pass by them, you see that they are filled with various like behind the scenes mechanisms that Danny has installed in order to make the Per Aspera work.
Yeah.
Plug, from your own, that littered throughout the corridors there is litter, essentially. A chicken bone here and there, maybe a discarded pen that Virla has lost suspiciously. Over time, Plug, you've amassed your own little hoard, but it seems as though other pests, at least before you had vanquished them, had also been doing a similar practice, and you find that there are, a veritable number of objects that sort of are littered no matter where you walk. Does anyone have something they would like to contribute for this skill challenge? It's not really going to be like you can only use one type of ability, since there are so few abilities. It's not like, we can't, it's not like one person can not double up on a quick or something like that. But I will ask that the thing that you do be, unique between each thing, basically. So does anyone have something that they would like to offer?
Is there a way to track look evidence of I guess the red slime or misplaced nuts and bolts from the other mechanical creature?
All right, so the Pixies, or are you offering this to the rest of the group? But you're off. Yeah, the Pixies are offering that there's maybe a way to follow the enemies by any residue that they might have left behind. It's a pretty good idea. You can try it certainly if you want, Pixies, or you can, cede the floor to someone else to do it. I will say that.
Yeah, I'd like to try. Is there a check I can make?
I will say make a clever check.
Clever check. You see out of the crowd of Pixies, a really short, very quiet one walks up. She has sort of these glasses made out of a paperclip.
Awesome.
This is Dill. She kind of takes a look around, and for clever, with a +1, that's a 7.
A 7. Okay. Indeed, at least at the very beginning, you are able to see kind of like this thin red veneer of a slimy substance that has coated the bottom and has coated the way. Pretty solidly confident that this was left by the Oblex. And so at least for the first leg of your journey, you decide to follow that. You see it twist one way and the other past some rooms through other corridors, until eventually you do reach a point where the residue has sort of faded enough to where you can no longer track it anymore. But you are confident that you have been following the path of the Oblex, at least up until now. So I will consider that a success.
All right.
Anyone else?
I'm more of a follower.
Yeah, this is a little outside my wheelhouse.
Is it particularly dark in this vent?
I would say so. Although does Sunny have dark vision?
I don't have my full character sheet with me.
Yeah. Plug's eyes are illuminated, and so I might say, for the sake of things, that it is providing at least enough light to make sure that you guys don't get lost or run into anything or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Well, we could try to lure them out. Like, maybe if one of us looks like extra delicious or something.
I guess because Plug knows there's at least some parts in these vents where I've stored things. Could I maybe, in checking those areas, ensure that they haven't been raided for parts?
Sure. You can definitely check. I will say that this doesn't really require a check. You are, at this point at least, you are familiar with where you would need to go in order to find one of your little hidey holes. So you kind of backtrack a little bit and take a left where you last took a right, and you find yourself sort of in a space, sort of a narrow space, like series of wooden slats are on either side of you. You seem to be sort of in between the outer hull of the ship and the inner hull, like in the inner wall, basically. Inside, you can see your cache here, which seems to be, a standard cache that you might leave behind for like a bug out bag or something like that. Food that you took and you've stored in here, gears and sprockets, in case you gotta like build something,
The deed to the ship.
The deed to the ship is in another crawl space, but interestingly enough, you haven't found it in a while.
Does it look like any of the gears
I'm
and
pretty sure-
sprockets? Like if I go through my mental inventory, are they all accounted for?
Yeah. Make for me another quick check.
Not as good. 5?
Okay. You have so many crawl spaces, and you've stored a lot of
No
gears
one
and
can keep
doodads
track
in
of all
each of
their
them.
crawl spaces. I mean, that's what squires are
It's
for
so-
and whatnot.
It's so difficult to, yeah. It does give you sort of the inkling, however, that, man, if only these things could talk, you know?
I mean, I didn't want to say anything, but if any of these gears looks particularly interesting, I would like to try and cast Speak with Object on it.
Okay. Can you just read the description out?
Yes.
As useful as it is.
Speak with Object. Objects aren't very interesting, though. That's
Fair
it.
Yeah. So, Plug, you get the idea. You get sort of this sort of thought of like, if only like the objects that were in the path that the Oblex took. If only they could talk, then maybe they could tell us where he went. You know. And then Sunny offers that he can. So you guys back out of the hidey hole, back onto the main track, and Sunny, you sort of zero in on like a bundle of wires, basically. And you cast Speak with Object. You have spoken with a lot of objects in your life. Well, really one object. It's not really an object, it's a living... Kiana, you've spoken with Kiana,
It's Kiana. I've spoken to Kiana.
Yeah, and you think that, you can telepathically communicate with Kiana. Maybe you can telepathically communicate with these other objects too. So, hey, give it a
sense.
shot.
Yeah. It's a little purple
In your mind's
like her, so,
To no one else, to everyone else, the ball of wires sort of remains stationary. But in your mind's eye, Sunny, you see that you sort of concentrate and try and establish a telepathic link, a mind link with this ball of wires. And you can see that all of the frayed ends and ends of wires sort of perk up and sort of come to attention and heat at you as if it was sort of like a bundle of like snakes, I guess, and sort of regard you.
Hey.
And it seems as though you have their attention.
Hello, little friend.
Hello?
I have a question.
Yes?
Have you seen anything like little and spooky come through here? That's not him. Different than that guy, but little and spooky?
Oh yes.
Do you know where they went?
2 spookies, as you call them.
2 spookies.
One mechanical, much like us, not like
Mechanical.
you.
Wow.
Yes. And the other one, disgustingly organic.
Yeah.
Visceral, one might say.
Blobby, that makes sense. So like everyone
Yes.
else is just hearing my half of this.
Yes, basically.
Like mechanical, yeah. Oh, and Blobby. Ooh, cool, yeah. Do you know where they went?
Yes. Do you wish to go after them?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Oh, you are far braver than I. Than we. We dare not leave our post. But you must follow our instructions to the letter.
Of course.
If you wish to make your way through, or else you might find yourself lost.
Oh no.
In this winding space, more entangled than we, surely.
Impossible.
And so, Sunny, you receive a series of instructions. It basically comes in the form of like, take the next left,
Yeah.
take the next right, keep going straight,
Yes.
But
Very serious instructions.
you're maybe given like 5 or 6 of these directions before this ball of wires sort of concludes with, and at that point, I do not know. The rest is up to you.
Thank you, brave soldier.
And you see the wires sort of slump back and resume the position that perhaps it has always assumed, back to its lifeless form.
I think I know the way.
Sunny, with an epiphany, confidently then strides down the corridor, making turns and whatnot, and the rest of you, a bit with a startled sort of
Make chase.
continue and keep up.
Yeah.
All right.
Everything mechanical on this ship is so serious.
Well done. A second success. Anything else? I would say one more would do it.
So how close does the path get us, do we think? Like,
Yeah. You would say, so you started at the engine room, and you would say at this point you've maybe kind of found yourself in maybe like the middle of the ship at this point. You also notice that there are times when the when your path sort of dipped a bit. There are times when it rose as well, but in general, it seems as though you guys are taking more of a downward trend.
As we are moving through these sections, you say we've like crossed to the other side of the ship. I don't know if there are hatches contained within the tunnels themselves, but if there are, then I would like to use door magic to seal the path behind us, to sort of lock us with this thing on this half of the ship, as we to try and narrow down the space so it can't escape.
alien style.
Certainly.
Yes.
Yeah, I will say that you guys, in your travels, sort of happen across sort of like a wider, larger room. You can see that this room sort of now branches off into into three other intersections, and then sort of peering down sort of the left and right ones. They both take a turn towards the front half of the ship, and so this seems to be it seems as though you have reached a major choke point as far as these corridors go. Reasons why there seems to only be one route of egress from one end of the ship to the other, you're not sure. Who knows the machinations of the ones who had constructed it.
Made by a mad scientist.
Yeah.
Still not sure how she even got here for most of these.
But your entrance into this room was indeed not locked, but there's a door. There's a hatch. And so you guys let yourself in, and Drone, with your quick thinking, don't lock yourselves in with it. You lock it inside with them, with you, essentially.
Yeah, nailed it.
Not
Yeah.
quick thinking, quick serving. I close the door, and then I turn into Queen Polly and say, "It is as you wish. We are contained with it, and it shall not escape."
Excellent work, Drone.
Okay. Now, the path seems to sort of narrow slightly. It used to be more labyrinthine, but now, there are only three sort of main paths. Systematically, sort of following each path, you can sort of take the time to kind of intuit where you think the Oblex and the what is it? And the Clockwork Horror had gone. There are times where you find again the bits of residue, like a red blobby spot here, a gear that has sort of that same red corrosive slime on it there. And with all of that and the considerably limited number of corridors now that you have to go through, you are pretty confident that you are following the path that you are on, that they have been on. You continue downwards, and the corridor leads into yet another room, kind of similar to the one that was in the center of the ship, except now that this time it seems to be a sort of cooling chamber, so to speak. You can see there is a considerable gap in between your side of this room and the others, where you can see that now that there is you can see the continuance of that path. In between the gap and you, though, and buffeting you backwards as you enter, are three wide propellers, essentially, rotors that are distributing air into the cooling system, and distributing it to other smaller pipes along the walls, which you assume to be sort of cooling the pipe network that sort of runs parallel to this.
Like an air conditioning unit would do.
Yeah, I guess like air conditioning, but this is more for the like cooling the pipes rather than like cooling the people. You're pretty confident that they must have gone through here, because in fact you see that next to you is a sort of electrical panel that has been tampered with. It's sort of a metal like breaker box like hatch, and it opens up, and there's a series of switches and levers and gauges, but they have all been sort of mucked over, and you see in addition one of the levers has been broken off, and from the size of it looked like a pretty big and important lever. It could possibly have been even the one that was used to turn off this fan system. It was. Then Plug, this concerns you because
This is horrible.
It was horrible. They seem
Danny
to
slipped
be
through on that one.
They seem to be aware, at least, of that someone could be after them, and so they've taken care to cover their tracks, or at least prevent any others from reaching them. But again, they're fucking messing with the ship, man.
Can't have that on my watch.
Can't have that. And so I will say then that we enter yet another skill challenge.
Yeah.
As we try and as you try and figure out how to navigate your way across. I will say, Occam's razor, those who can fly attempt to fly, but cannot successfully sort of navigate their way through the rotors. You guys are just basically like buffeted back, essentially.
I see.
Okay.
Plug is kind of a big accordion. If someone held half of Plug and then we just sort of launched the other half to make like a bridge of sorts.
Like, I'm
still the
imagining you
propellers,
mean
though.
like Slinky Dog trying to catch Woody, Buzz, and RC at the end of Toy Story.
Kinda, yeah.
Isn't there a big fan in between where we are and where we're trying to go? That would like
I think
cut
there's
you
like
up
3
a
of them.
lot.
But if it's so strong that you can't fly over it, surely it could keep Plug elevated enough. And then maybe it would just block some of the air so you guys could fly over.
I think the
Oh,
threat is more Plug getting fucking cut in half by the way.
Yeah.
My misunderstanding. Are there fans we gotta cross over, or are they fans we gotta go through?
There are fans you have to cross. So the fans are sort of rotating such that the wind is blowing vertically.
Okay.
Got it. We don't need to fly through the fans.
You need to pass over the fans.
You don't need to fly through the
You
fans,
pass over them.
but
Got it.
Plug, if you were to try and basically leap the gap, or at least have the front half of you leap the gap, you would find yourself in a similar situation as the other ones who attempted to just fly through it, in that you would basically just get buffeted back and not successfully reach the end. And in fact, there was one scary occasion when you sort of miss the edge and you almost find yourself in the fan if it weren't for your companions quickly reeling you back.
Okay, so Slinky Dog's out.
Do not fear death. If we die here, there are many others who shall take up our cause.
No.
At the very least,
What?
you cannot. At the very least, you cannot go at it just through the middle. You know, you can imagine that at the edges of the fan, at the walls, they are, less strong.
Can I
but-
try to basically climb along the wall from, like, at the edge where the fan is weaker? Just sort of get up on the wall and sort of skitter across lizard style?
Okay. Make for me a quickest climb. Make for me another quick check.
Yes, it's a quick check, yeah.
Quick.
I'm also curious. Is there a way? Sorry.
It's a 9.
9. Very well. Very good. Austin, what's up?
Adjudicate, please. Adjudicate Sunny's thing.
Oh, sure. Okay. This is pretty brave of you, Sonny.
Yeah.
fairly speaking. You first affix yourself onto the wall. Your newly grown claws.
This is like when we were in that volcano.
You must have just got them. And you sort of affix yourself to the wall, basically. You've seen Kiana do something like
Yeah, this is a big what would Kiana do moment. Oh yeah, walk on the wall. Got it.
And in a montage that is reminiscent of Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man as Tobey Maguire crawls
Danny up
crawls across
music,
the wall.
just boom,
Up and away, web.
boom.
You are able to make it across the passage, leaving pockmarks of perforated metal in your wake, basically. And there are a few scary moments where you felt like you were going to be pulled away by a sudden upcurrent. However, you are able to successfully make it across. That was a pretty difficult one, so good on you.
How
So
strong
that's one across.
are these fans? Could I? The Pixies are gathering, looking at their. We can't break them, but if we could stop them temporarily to allow people to cross, is that a thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you wish for me to stop them?
No.
If you'd like to help, that'd be great.
I,
Old Bay
Sophia,
says.
the player, know exactly
I
what
looked at
Austin
Plug.
was thinking, and Plug the cat would not have that same inclination.
I worry about where this is
I looked
going,
to
considering
Plug
things you
because
just
you say,
said.
"Do you want to?" I just looked to Plug and wait.
If you have a idea, now is the time to act upon it. Drone.
I'm going to. Old Bay's gonna whistle and says, "All right, Pixies, crab formation. I'm going to use the change form spell that I
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
and the Pixies all join up together, and from a seemingly impossible space, they pull out two pairs of tongs and attach it to the side of the blob, and they approach the fan
Okay.
and
yes.
attempt to
So,
jam it.
So you have definitely seen Finbar change into various creatures. His wild shape ability. The Pixies do not have this have this ability innately. However, they, as a conglomerate, can combine together to form what is basically a Megazord of whatever animal they wish.
Crab
And so a very
form.
a very coordinated team then appears. An 8-legged crab with 2 tongs acting as pincers appears in front of you all. And what are you trying to do, Wally?
I'm trying to sort of jam one of the fans or as many fans as I can so that either they can cross or I can help other people cross.
Okay.
Fans.
Yeah. I would say you have 2 options.
Mm-hmm.
So you can try and block 1 at an easier difficulty setting, or try and block 2, so like a pincer apiece, at a harder difficulty setting.
I've got 2 tongs and a
Fixing.
pocket full of pixies. Let's go. We're doing 2.
All right. So this is a more brute. Brute thinks I'll have you make a fierce check.
All right, let's do it. That is a 11.
What was that?
11.
11.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. Succeeding this very difficult challenge. Which 2 do you wish to block? There's the one that's closest to like where you guys just entered, and then there's the 2 that's sort of near the exit. I would say that you can't. You're not long enough to reach like either end. So it has to be 2 adjacent
I'll do the
ones.
first 2 so that I could help Drone and Captain Plug across so that they can figure out a way across the third one.
Okay. So you guys, the Pixies working as a team, are able to, with great effort, use the pincers to block the movement of the motors. You can feel the fans sort of fighting against you, and you can't. And there's only so much time that you can be holding this before you'll be overpowered. But you are able to, at the moment, hold the fans in place, and I'll say even have the propellers make a convenient walkway
Step.
for Drone and Plug. Okay, so Drone and Plug, you guys are now on one of the propellers, and with now just 1 fan in the way. I will say that for Drone, You still can't fly through the fan, but with this setup, Plug might be able to toss himself over, meet Sunny at the ledge, and then essentially create a bridge.
Sunny,
I got you, boss.
prepare to catch. I'll
Alright.
throw him myself.
Okay.
Remember, if it comes to it, Sonny, your life is forfeit.
What?
We must protect the queen.
Sonny has
All right.
not yet experienced dying and being resummoned, so this is a frightening concept for him.
Plug, if you can make a quick check.
Hell yeah.
Sunny, if you can make a fierce check.
A fierce check. Roger that.
That's an
This is Plug's ability to make it across, and Sunny's ability to catch him.
8.
It's only a 6.
Okay. I would say that it is more difficult to get yourself across the thing than it is to catch it. So, it's a little bit precarious because you're on like a thin rotor blade, and there's still like the strong torrent of wind going upwards. However, you are successfully able to sort of force your way through, and with outstretched paws, meet Sunny's, and basically with the two of you working together, Plug's front paws are clutching the end of the opposite ledge, and your accordion body sort of extends out to form a bridge, basically. At the very least, drone can pass. The Pixies need to be staying in their spot in order to keep the motor stationary. And so I would say that there is still the issue of the Pixies being on the other side of the ledge.
How fast do you think I could retract the other side of the accordion?
Oh, interesting.
Like
They
in a
just have to
matter,
grab
like,
onto-
You'd have to be pretty.
grab
Just have to
on.
grab
quick.
on.
Okay, if this is the case, then so basically what you're saying is you want to try and extend your back paws to
yeah.
reach the
Tail
the
like
entrance of the
snakes
ledge.
out a little bit. Like, grab hold, friends. We will make
All
it
right,
through this danger together.
Okay. So here's what's happening. Plug does not reach the end of the ledge. Rather, he sort of drapes his legs in between the two propellers, such that his two legs, and his tail, acting as tethers, or like ropes essentially, on which the Pixies would have to hold on to. And what I'm understanding the plan is that on some coordinated count, the Pixies will let go of the rotors and then grab onto Plug, and then Plug will retract himself. Okay, this seems like a multi-step. This seems like a multi-step thing. So let's break it down.
Okay.
Actually, it might just be a similar thing. Plug, make a quick check. Pixies, make a fierce check as a crab, because you're still a crab for this scene. And this is the crab's ability, the Pixie's ability to hang on. This is Plug's ability to quickly retract his lower half.
All right. Come on.
I guess I'm just along for the ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
10.
Nice.
8.
9 plus 1, baby. Ooh.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, you guys are killing it. I'm not even playing. I'm like, all right, it's probably very difficult to reflex your way out. It's still challenging to hold on, but not as difficult. The DCs for that were 10 for very difficult and 8 for challenging. So you guys made it. So
Narrow victory, but victory nonetheless.
in
Rolls
a
up like a window shade.
in a second that feels like an hour, the Pixies let go. Do you keep the tongs or no?
I don't. I'll leave 1, I guess. Well, I'm trying not to damage. I guess I should take them with me. Yeah.
All right, sure, fair enough. Yeah. So you guys the Pixies take the tongs and then grab on either side of grab either leg with a tong each, and then you see some of the Pixies, maybe the stronger ones, so Ginger, grab onto the tail to serve as sort of a more central anchor point, in addition to holding onto the tongs. In that same second, Plug retracts his back legs and in one swift motion, Plug Drone and the Pixies all catapult
Coming in
away
hot!
from roughly the center of the pit, off to the other ledge where Sunny is awaiting them.
Was I not already holding the front half of Plug?
You were.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, yeah.
Okay, so I just get
Yeah.
impacted.
Oh, well, yes, you do.
It's a giant
And
pile.
T-Rocket
of
style.
goons.
who's bringing up the rear of your formation?
It'd be the Pixies then in that
Wally.
case.
Holding the tail, yeah.
Yeah, but of the Pixies, who's bringing up the rear?
Oh, who would be in the back? Nutmeg? Yeah.
Nutmeg? Okay. Yeah, so Nutmeg feels just the slightest, like, batter of one of her wings as it gets clipped ever so slightly by one of the rotors. However, it remains undamaged. But very, very close. Any slower, and it might have been disastrous for Nutmeg and even possibly more of the Pixies. But you guys all successfully make it to the other side of the ledge. Congratulations. Awesome. Okay. So with that, you guys then proceed onward. As far as like a sanity check, where is everyone at right now? You know, like Plug, this is you are familiar with the space, but everyone else here are more, unfamiliar with it. This is an entire layer of the Per Aspera that none of you have been really exposed to, and even Plug, like, you haven't really been exposed to for this extent. So, where's everyone's minds at? How's everyone feeling?
Well, I'm used to living inside of a stick, and I would die for any cause, so I'm doing A-okay.
Drone's good. Drone feels more at home than ever.
Just relieved to no longer be burdened with the nightmare that is his own liberty.
I feel like
Drone
Drone is
is-
one of those little army men from Toy Story.
Drone is one of those little armies from Toy Story.
We're all just playing Toy Story
Drone-
characters, really.
Yeah. Drone feels more at home here than he has at any other point since leaving the staff. What about everyone else?
Plug is single-mindedly dedicated to our cause. He would do anything to protect Danny and protect the ship. And so as long as they are on a mission for the benefit of the Per Aspera, he is stalwart in his continued leadership.
And what about the performance of these new recruits?
Well,
You took a bit of a chance on them, so to speak, but How
pleasantly
does Plug think of them
surprised. Drone has proven to be an incredibly malleable underling. Old Bay and the Pixies, of course, Plug knew already to be quite reliable. And Sunny, though at times perhaps a bit skittish, is coming around to show some bravery in moments. Particularly that climb really impressed Plug.
and I think it surprised Sunny a little bit as well. It seems as though like an entire new side has emerged upon entering these
Sunny's
these
just going
catacombs,
through Kiana's whole character arc, but like in
confidently
one
leading
day.
the way towards like on one leg of the journey, and
I mean, everything is kind of new and exciting for Sunny. I just feel like Plug is the first adversity that Sunny has ever experienced, and that was really throwing him off balance. Like,
Yeah.
oh, the astral sea and spending time with Kiana and seeing the world is great. And then there's this terrifying nightmare cat homunculus back on the ship that won't stop licking me. But like, now that we're sort of developing a rapport, I think that Sunny's kind of like, okay, now I can stop worrying about that all the time, and now I can do other stuff.
Nice.
So,
everything seems to be going sunny side up.
Hey.
And the Pixies,
They're used to going on adventures. They're kind of just picking themselves up. Old Bay is getting too old for this shit. This
I was gonna say
standard.
Yeah. So it seems as though you guys all make a pretty good team. But we continue onwards. A few more corridors here and there, however, none that require any checks of any kind. You're able to, as a team, coordinate and navigate your way through the corridors. Each person supporting the other when one might have missed something or something similar of that nature. You all emerge from this corridor more what is it? Cohesive. There it is. That's the word. And where you emerge from, we will get to right now. So you guys find yourselves in a hatch that opens downwards, and sort of opening it but not necessarily going through it, you find yourselves in a dark space, dimly lit by a lantern that hangs on one of the masts. You see a vast warehouse full of crates, barrels, spare tarp, rigging. You see that many crates are closed. Some of them are open, and they house various things. Some you see labeled are provisions for food. Others you see weaponry of some kind. You see a box that's sort of scrawled in Danny's handwriting, very suspiciously, bombs, parentheses, rejects. It seems as though this corridor has led you to the cargo deck of the Per Aspera. This is at least the site that you can see, at least directly staring, and this is more like in the front half of the ship. You can imagine, you can see that the room sort of extends to the back side of the ship, but you'd have to sort of peek your head out in order to, look more.
So a while back you asked if I had dark vision. So I checked.
Yes.
I actually do, and I have blind sight out to 10 feet.
Oh, okay. All right.
And advantage on perception checks, but I'm just kind of assuming that that's not crossing over.
Remind me what blind sight does? Is it just...
Blind sight means can perceive its surroundings without relying on sight within a specific radius.
Oh,
critters
interesting.
without
Okay.
eyes, critters with echolocation.
You have Daredevil vision.
Yes, I have daredevil vision, but only out to 10
Okay.
feet.
Okay. So,
I mean,
there
which
we
is
go.
huge because we're only this big.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we're itty bitty, yeah.
All right. So, yeah, so this is the site that you see from the hatch. You do not see the Oblex or the Clockwork Horror. You will most likely have to either drop below or have someone scout it out more clandestinely in order to get a better survey of the room and possibly find your enemies.
If no one has any particular ideas, Plug's instinct is to go scout about stealthily.
Never.
As a
I was going to
sly-
suggest that I could fly down. Take a look around
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. I would say that there's no issue in you guys like getting from the ceiling down to like the main level of the deck. I guess now the question and is more in your approach, basically. You're gonna say
Yes.
something, Wally?
So I have the mist spell, which allows me to fill an area with a creepy, obscuring fog for a while. How big
Yes.
is this area, and can we use that as cover to potentially get?
I will say that it is a gas that fills the space of the room that it's in. So it is. I can't give a certain number, but you can imagine that the more space that it fills out, the thinner that it'll get,
Okay.
basically. You could maybe estimate. You could estimate that for the purposes of this, if everyone was sort of like prone and crawling, then you guys would be obscured by the mist. However, it does mean that your enemies would be aware that there's mist forming,
Yeah.
and they might be alerted by that.
Okay.
What if we, Mission Impossible style, someone holds Plug's tail, we just drop him down over the top of the room to survey?
The one character that can't fly.
No, you are far too important to lose. I should go in your stead.
I mean, the mechanical wasp is harder to spot than the rest
That
of
is
us,
true.
probably.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Is everyone in agreement then?
Certainly, I would not stop drone from performing an action that it wishes to take.
All right.
I do not wish to take any action that you do not wish me to take.
I wish for you to do what you think is best in any given situation, is in order to protect the ship to the best of your ability.
You watch his eyes just like code starts to flash by as he's stuck between.
Okay, if he's gonna
just fucking Sunny and oh my god, Sunny and iRobot, where it's like, I'm not allowed to harm a human, but he made me promise. You're like, he's like, I won't do anything you don't want me to do. She's like, well, I want you to. He's like, I'll do whatever. You do whatever you think is best. He's just like, I don't know how to compute that.
Okay, well, if he's stuck in a logic loop, I can fly down.
Yeah. So whoever is deciding to swoop down, go ahead and make me a slide check.
My sly is +0.
My
Probably
sly
because
is +2.
I sparkle.
I didn't
If
want to
someone tells
metagame,
the
but like
wasp-
Plug would be very down to sneak around.
I think, yeah. I mean, if we're taking a step back and thinking about the everyone's stats,
Marching order.
I think Plug and Drone would probably be the best.
Drone also has +2.
Yeah, cool. So
Nice.
Drone comes to my desires to protect the queen of the hive. I will sly.
okay, all right. Drone will go ahead.
Sure.
Austin, if you want to make for me a slide check.
Everyone deserves
Yes.
a chance to
With
slide.
any luck, I'll die valiantly. No, I got a 10 plus 2 is 12.
Well, there you go.
Why?
There you go.
Fantastic.
Max.
Critical
baby.
success.
Invisible. Moving too fast to see.
All right. So, like an imperceptible fly on the wall, quite literally. You swoop down and you take your survey of the room. I don't think that mechanical wasps have dark vision, so I will say that everything is cast in a sort of dim light. But you are able to get a better survey of the room. So flying around, you see sort of the front half of the ship, which you all were able to see when looking down the hatch. At the back end of the ship, you see basically more of the same. A lot of barrels and crates stacked on top of one another. Spare, components and materials that Danny would need to repair the ship. Spare, closed crates that basically are 8 and 2 seasons worth of adventures and loot that they got and decided to keep for themselves. You see that stashed in the corner, kind of at the back of the ship, is a very menacing looking motorcycle.
Hell yeah.
With ram's horns for handles, and this aggressively violent orb that's like spouting lightning, earth, water, a bunch of various elemental things, sort of sloshing around and sort of being very volatile, sort of strapped to the back of the strapped to wherever it is on the hell ride. I don't remember where it is actually.
I think it goes on the front.
Yeah, there we go then.
Yes.
Looking around more, you try and train your hearing to try and listen to any of the familiar sounds that you had heard when you guys first discovered them in the first place, and you kind of fly around to sort of this rather larger pile of crates and barrels, and you can hear growing closer sort of that same squishy jelly sound, as well as like tiny little like electrical spurts, like tss, 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 tss. Kind of like the sensation, kind of like the sound of welding,
I don't like that.
essentially.
No.
Like tiny welding. Getting closer, you see the Obelix. It has nested itself sort of in this hiding space that it has found, basically constructed from like how the boxes have been stacked up. Like it's like someone had tried to make a box basically, and they're hiding in it. There's sort of this space in the middle of like 4-ish boxes, and that's where the Obelix has seemed to have resided. And you can see that with it is one of the clockwork horrors. What Danny had described as being 5 feet actually turned out to be 4 feet and one like buzzsaw-like pincer, the other one having been sort of broken off. But you can see that between the two of them, they seem to be taking various stolen mechanical components that they've taken over some period of time and constructing what looks to be another clockwork horror. And with a bit of a shock, looking at sort of this back corner of this refuge area, of this sort of hidey hole area, you find a collection of maybe 4 or 5 other clockwork horrors that apparently has been constructed in the time between this first clockwork horror finding its way on the ship and now. You realize that this is most likely what the Oblex was stealing that valve for. And with a start, you realize that they most likely have been at this for some time. Given sort of the logistics and the timeline of things, the Oblex might be a more recent addition. And maybe that's why things have proceeded to the point where they can now make more quickly and grab bigger parts. But it seems as though the clockwork horror is building more. The other ones do not appear to be active. Rather they just seem sort of dormant and lifeless. It appears as though they may need some sort of power source to turn it on.
Nice. So
You're able to do all of this without being seen. And you're able to make your way back up into the open hatch.
hold on.
Okay.
Oh no. God damn it.
all of this, Drone takes all of this in. There's this whole train of thought. He gets like 10% of the way through the train of thought. And then he goes, "Death to the interloper!" And I'm going to charge, and I'd like to attack the slime.
Did you guys hear
Okay,
something?
awesome. Yeah, so shooting back, you guys,
Dolly zoom
guys
on
have-
us. Whoosh.
Cutting back to plug the Pixies and Sunny. You guys have been waiting for like a solid few minutes. You know, you heard, the sort of fading away as drone sort of flies off. But then there's been sort of an eerie silence. And then you very clearly hear, "Death to the interloper!" as it, and that can't be good at all.
Oh no! Oh boy!
I believe the time for action has
So-
come. Enter, brothers.
We'll do this a bit abstractly. I'm not going to have anyone roll initiative or anything. We will start, however, by resolving what Austin decides to do first.
Yeah, I'm gonna sting this
Austin,
bitch.
Yeah, so Austin, can I have you make a fierce check for me then?
I would love to roll +0 fierce check.
Oh my
Oh
god!
boy.
Do it, baby.
Why are you like this?
6.
Okay. All right. I will say that you are able to successfully dive bomb into this into the area that the Clockwork Horror and the Oblex are at. And which one are you aiming at, the Horror or the Oblex?
Oblex.
Okay. All right. You don't know how mechanical wasp stings will react to amorphous blobbing, but
I
hey,
sure don't.
Now's the time.
With
now's
any
the
luck,
time.
we'll both die valiantly.
Now's the time to experiment. So as you begin to dive bottom, you transition such that you are. Is it thorax? That's the area with the stinger.
Head, thorax, abdomen.
Abdomen is the back part. I thought abdomen was the torso. Anyway, doesn't matter. Abdomen first, basically. Stinger out, I guess is what it is. And the others hear sort of an unceremonious as Drone makes contact with the Oblex. Point of reference for the Oblex voice is Goop from Ben 10 Alien Force.
Yeah.
I cannot do that. I cannot do that. But
How
you
was
can
that,
hear
audience?
the Oblex. That was no.
It's pretty good.
You can hear the Oblex sort of scream in pain as it appears to have done something. However, before you are able to react and respond or even get out of there, you find yourself stuck in the Oblex drone. And there's no face necessarily, but you can see like the front half of this blob rise up and loom over you, and you suddenly get the feeling that you have been seen and you're being looked at. And with a very gooey voice, the Oblex says, "What have we here? More scrap."
It has been an honor! Buzz, buzz!
All right. Cutting back a
Kill
little
both
bit.
my one-shot characters by slime ball. I dare you.
Cutting back to the others, we hear Sunny, Plug, and Pixies. You hear death to the interlopers and a splat and a, oh, look what we have here, more scrap. All those three probably equals not a good time.
Oh no, that's
So,
our scrap.
Yes. What would you do now?
Leap valiantly into action, of course.
What would Kiana do? Charge!
All right.
Charge, my dudes.
Bonsai!
Plug and Pixies are going in. Or sorry,
Pixies
Plug
are
and,
going
and Sunny
in.
are going in.
Ginger
Pixies,
and Pepper
what are you
take the
doing?
lead. They have saucers as shields. One of them
Okay.
has a fork. The other one has a spoon as a mace. Right in.
All right.
Incredible.
Okay. Does anyone have any offers of what they would like to do? Anything that
Yes.
is more specific than just like doing a fierce attack?
I actually do. We're finally
yes,
in the
what's up?
space where 2 out of 3 of my spells work. So would you say that the Ooblex is currently holding drone?
I would. Yeah.
Then I would like to cast Butterfingers and make it drop him.
Yeah.
Butter pseudopod.
You are aware in Kiana's training that she knows the art of disarming
Yes.
people, weaponry from enemies. This seems like a good practice, a good utilization of that skill as any.
Yeah.
And so, not necessarily a magic skill, but you go in and you basically try and do what Kiana did, which is pinpoint pressure points on a person's body so that they drop the item that they're holding.
But it is a goop, so...
It is a goop. So normally I would say that this would be a success, but let me say then that this is going to be I would say that this is a fierce check,
Good.
but it'll have an easier DC because that you're utilizing your skill.
It's technically my spell, but...
Your spell.
Okay, yeah. Well,
I know,
I'll give
yeah.
it a shot. Ugh. No, that's a critical failure. I rolled a 1.
Oof. Okay.
And I can only use this spell once a session. Come on, man.
I will say this. This is what happens. You are able to successfully hit correct spaces in the Oblex such that drone is dropped. However, one of your claws remains affixed to the Oblex as it seems in time to change its target from drone to you.
So now
So
I'm
you-
stuck.
Yeah.
Well, this is very what Kiana would do, so I think Sunny's still considering this a win.
Fair enough.
Right.
Plug and Pixies. Do you guys have anything, or are you guys going to just attack?
Why did you change a saying that was already a kitchen saying?
Yeah.
We're well out of the frying pan
I
now,
guess,
boys.
yeah, no, just a fierce. This is not much.
Sunny joins me. I go, yes, we shall both die valiantly together.
Yeah. Everyone's been on the Oblex, so yeah, just a fierce on the Oblex.
You can, if you want to utilize your spell, or I don't know if you had another idea for your mist, then it would be difficult for the Oblex to
That
find
is
purchase
true.
on a target, or even realize what's happening if everything were obscured. This does mean that the same works for your opponents, so it's a 50-50 as to what you might think would be more beneficial in this time.
I do know.
You know that
yes.
Sunny has blind sense, so
Yes.
it's not that he needs to see.
And
everyone else, though,
This
a
box
little bit
fort,
enclosed.
I guess, is more enclosed than the open cargo bay area. Okay.
Yes.
Then
yeah.
we'll use that to our advantage. We will smoke it out. Mission Impossible style. You see,
Okay.
you come in with flower grenades, up over the box fort walls, splash all over the area, and the Pixies take a defensive position.
Yeah, once upon a time, you had heard Finbar say something along the lines of Misty Step, but I don't think you caught everything.
Yeah.
You really just interpreted Mist as the skill and as the spell in question. Okay, yeah. So, Sunny, this is what happens to you.
Oh.
You go and systematically punch at various areas of the Oblex. The Oblex, with a startle, releases drone, but then is able to transition to grabbing onto you. Then you feel the Oblex's grip lighten as your entire space is filled with mist. And you can sense where the Oblex is. You're not sure if the Oblex can sense you, but also then again, it never had eyes in the first place, so you don't really know what's up.
A little bit weird, yeah.
But it at least does seem surprised by this. You know, like, it was surprised about being attacked by one person, by one being. It was definitely surprised by being attacked by another, and then now there's just a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So, I would say at this point, it's like the equivalent of, like, I don't know, I guess surprised? I don't know.
Cool.
Plug, what have you?
I guess I can't really see anything anymore, can I? 'Cause mist is...
Yeah.
Does Plug not have dark vision? Or blind sight?
I
don't think Plug has blind sight.
Do. But
I will say that you have an entire, essentially, arsenal of items at your disposal in the rest of the cargo bay. You don't necessarily have to dive straight for the
box
enclosure.
labeled bomb. Is there a little one,
box
maybe?
Parentheses rejects?
Yeah. In that box,
yeah,
perhaps?
I mean,
like a small-looking one that Plug could grab?
Yeah. So this is sort of, I think, what I'm interpreting this as is, in the very short amount of time that Danny had been aware of, like, this red pill bomb thing that the Duragar had thrown in season 3, episode 5. Danny had spent some of the 12 hours returning, trying to basically reverse engineer it, and to little avail. And you were there when she was trying to do this. Either she wasn't able to get the chemical composition quite right, and the fuse and the timing was off, or it just ended up being a dud anyway, and the triggering mechanism itself wasn't able to work. So diving in, I will say make a quick check for me.
Sure thing. That's a 7.
7? Okay. You did know that one of the prototypes that she had tried making had a chemical composition that seemed to work. Essentially, like, it was basically the way that she was designing it were 2 vials of separate chemicals, and once the triggering mechanism went off, the vials would break, the chemicals would mix, and the bomb would explode. That was sort of her main thinking of it. The chemicals itself seemed to work, but she wasn't able to hack the triggering part of it. But you don't need to have anything on a trigger, you just gotta get the chemicals. So, with a successful quick check, you are able to root in the box labeled bombs, parentheses, rejects, and find that prototype that you were thinking of, and you now have in your possession 2 ampules of dubious chemicals.
Excellent. This is exactly how I wanted this to go.
All right. I will say that you can make your way back, but you won't be able to act until the next effective round happens. So now what happens is you see then that the Oblex will then attempt to lash out. Well, Sunny, you sense that it will lash out a tendril and it will try to grab Drone again. Drone, can I have you make a sly check with
Drone.
disadvantage, basically?
A sly check at disadvantage, so rolling twice and endure.
Yes.
So if Drone dies, we sneak his broken body back onto Virla's desk, and then Virla just fixes him off screen, right?
At
Just like, oh, this got fucked up at some point.
Yeah.
10.
What?
10.
That's still really good.
I rolled 2 8s.
That's amazing.
I'm on fire. I wish I'd been rolling this hot last night.
Drone, you realize you are not an individual. You are you are part of a collective, and so you have learned to not necessarily rely solely on your senses, but the senses of you and whatever team you are in. It took a little bit, but you think you kind of reached a point where you're starting to kind of jive with your new compatriots here. And you sense the presence of Sunny beside you. You hear the whipping and lashing out of the tendril coming your direction, and you're able to successfully outmaneuver it, and the Oblex grasps thin air and nothing, essentially. So you're able to successfully dodge it. Congratulations.
Nice.
As for the clockwork horror,
Damn shame.
it hobbles along kind of slowly, but Sunny, you can sense that it's making its way towards the back corner where the other dormant clockwork horrors lie.
Oh no.
And that is what it'll do for that's what it's going to do for this turn. Okay. Those who do not want to immediately just fierce attack the Oblex, does anyone have anything that they would wish to try? I know that Plug, I'm imagining, is standing at the top of the enclosure with chemicals in hand, so make of that what you will.
Yes.
That is fan art I want on my desk by Monday.
Yeah, and his
It's
paw,
just
or,
that
his mouth.
image
yeah.
of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch when
Yeah.
it just crash lands.
Yeah. I will say, in fact, like the Pixies
We're not
see
inside.
this because I don't think
No,
you guys
we're surrounding the
are you guys
perimeter
in them?
of
Yeah,
the
so
box fort. Does it have
right.
a ceiling? Is it like a, or is it more like a courtyard
No,
type situation?
Like the ceiling is
Okay.
the ceiling of
Okay.
the actual of the cargo deck. The walls of this enclosure are like four sides of separate boxes, basically. So like just the way that it's stacked, there just happened to be this gap sort of in the middle that's pretty high, like, hidden away from everything else, and that's where they sort of made their
We
base
can
of
see
operations.
Plug up there, right? Okay. Can we
Yes, you can.
start to, I guess, push the boxes closer together?
Okay. Can I ask why?
I
What's
want
your
to
thinking here?
limit the ability of the Lublex and the Clockwork Horror to get out, but also give an opportunity for whatever explosion is coming to be a little more contained. And as we do so, we're going to shout to whoever's inside, get out as quickly as possible.
Okay. Yeah. This is sort of the collective brute strength of all of your pixies. I will say then make another fierce check.
Come on, Pixies.
And by this point we've sort of the one page sort of describes scenes basically, so like establishing like vignettes of scenes. And this change form thing was only meant to work for the scene that you were currently in, so that you were in when you casted it. So you were no longer in crab form. You guys have the stats of the original. Pixie.
It's a 9 plus 2, 10. 11. Math.
Fantastic. All right.
Well,
Yes, that's a 6. Wait, hold on.
Do you move the box that Plug is on?
Do you...
Do you move the block? Do you
we
move the box that Plug
specifically
is on?
avoid that one.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, Plug. What you can see then are, the sea of mist inside this enclosure, and you see all of the pixies sort of split up and assume a position around the perimeters of two of the boxes, and they push them closer. You can see the mist sort of. This isn't how mist works, but you can see the mist rise slightly. I suppose it's a liquid now. I guess who cares? As the volume of this enclosure shrinks, Sunny, you sense this as well, and you can imagine that the Obelix might sense this additionally. The walls are coming in for some reason. And then everyone hears the Pixies' command of get out, basically.
Get out.
Yeah.
But I'm stuck in an Oblex.
Take it with you.
I mean, would you like to try and get out?
I was kind of just hoping to fierce attack it.
Okay, I mean, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, Plug is holding the chemicals in his mouth. Is like, Plugman, Sunny, flee! Like I'm holding
in that
my
case, I
action
guess-
to throw them essentially in when I see that my friends are safe.
Okay.
Okay, in that case, could I actually use my... Okay, hold on. The other Clockwork Horror, it was heading for the corner that had the others in it.
Yes.
Is it still en route there? But is that in the enclosed space that's about to be full of explosion?
Yes.
Okay, in that
It
case...
is still on. Yeah, it's still en route. It's making its way towards like the back corner
Cool. In that case, I would like to use my third spell, Stun Creature, to stun the Oobleck that is holding me so I can fly out instead.
Great. Okay. Yep. No check required for this.
Thank you.
Or you thinking back to Kiana's training
strikes.
again.
Yeah.
Yes. You are able to once again target a pressure point, and you feel the Oobleck sort of like seize up and firm, kind of like fucking like Oobleck, the non-Newtonian fluid.
Yeah, exactly. It's liquid when you're slow, but solid when you're fast.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It kind of has that similar sensation, but you are able to then, in its sort of moment of lapse, you are able to remove your claw away and fly out.
Yes. Can I take
Drone.
Drone with me? I feel like Drone is not willingly going to leave the possibility of death.
No, Drone's got to do something.
Yeah, what was Drone gonna do?
Drone, never having an idea of his own, will see you stun the Oobleck, and will look to the escaping Clockwork Car, and will say, let's say, he'll look at it and he'll just charge it and say, "You do not flee. We all die in the pit together."
What?
And I will use. I'm using this a little bit differently. I have static shock, which is good for mildly annoying someone or powering small mechanisms. Could I briefly depower a small mechanism with a static shock to prevent it from
I will
escaping
allow
and
it.
ensure it's dead?
Absolutely. You can interpret it as obviously the Wasp sort of looking at Virla's lightning-based attacks, and you can interpret this use of the spell as overcharging the Clockwork Horror such that it shorts out.
That is exactly what I'll do. Grab on and overcharge it.
Yeah, you see, in a similar fashion to the Obelix, the Clockwork Horror sort of seizes up, and then with sort of a satisfying sizzle, clumps to the floor momentarily. At least you may, hopefully, incapacitated and no longer moving towards its target. Okay. Is it at that moment then that Sunny grabs Drone and the both of you fly out?
I would like to, if possible.
Okay.
What would Kiana do? Grab teammate. Got it.
Yeah. All right.
I learned from the best.
And so the both of you, and so Plug and the Pixies then see Sunny and the Drone fly out of the mist, a very satisfying trail of smoke following behind them.
Captain,
And
we're clear.
Yoink. Yeet.
and then Plug either yeets it from its mouth or sets it daintily on the ground only to smack it with its paw. Your choice.
Ooh, option B, obviously, daintily down, and then
All
just
right.
with the tail, smack, launch.
Yeah.
Looks like you're gonna turn away and spare them, but then wham with the backswing.
You do so with enough force that once the ampules sort of hit the surface, they break. The two of them combine and mix together, and the white mist suddenly turns to black smoke and fire as this space is engulfed in flames. You can hear and smell, honestly, the horrifying acrid stench and horrified screams of the Oobleck as it basically dissolves away into nothing. You're not sure. You're. What is your plan now? So, you have everyone is safely out, and you guys are looking at this campfire. Basically, you do not see any reaction, anything emerging from it. Do you leave? Do you stay to make sure that the deed is done? What do you do?
Well, we must ensure that the job has been properly completed. Also, there's an active fire on the ship now. We probably should take care of that as well.
In fact, yes. What happens is you guys are staying to make sure that the job is completed. When you hear sort of the sound of steps of someone going down the steps into the cargo hold.
Put out the fire.
The doors swing open.
We're gonna get in
and you see Danny sort of muttering under her breath, "Stupid Motrons don't fucking know how to fix a goddamn ship." Before she then notices Can I have everyone make a
I
slide
have
check?
none to this. Oh, great.
I would like to just sit proudly on top of the box. Do I have to make a slide check?
Everyone
too?
except Plug make a slide check.
4.
7.
4. Okay.
Oh, okay.
9.
9. Okay. So Danny is Danny is held present to a bizarre sight. She does not see Sunny or the drone. However, Plug, standing very proudly, sort of on its, standing very proudly, like, look, Ma, look what I did. And the Pixies,
I killed it for you.
in slight horror, possibly, are looking at this small fire that has erupted over, it sort of in this kind of like top pile of the cargo hold. Danny sort of like starts and exclaims, "Plug, what did you do?" And
I
you
solved
see
the problem,
her
Mom.
kind of, you see her climb up to meet you guys. Think about casting something and then realize that none of her spells involve the extinguishing of fires.
Those are
Yeah,
some-
unlike
so.
create or destroy water, it's just create fire. There's no create or destroy fire element to any of those spells.
You do see her sort of rummage,
Oh, wait.
go into
Instead
another
of
box.
rolling that slide, I have limited invisibility. Could I have instead just disappeared? Okay.
I will take the fall.
The
for this.
Pixies need to
Absolutely.
maintain their
Comrades.
veneer of professionalism.
Absolutely. All right. So I think this is more fitting, honestly. Danny sees only Plug and a fire behind him.
I think I think that Sunny, with like drone, like in either one hand or his mouth, is like clinging to the back of the box that Danny's around,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
sidling
yeah.
around like Spider-Verse style.
Absolutely. My point of reference that I can think of is that meme of the little child that's like
Yeah.
smiling
Yeah.
in front of a house fire.
It's exactly
Yeah.
that.
Disaster girl.
It's either that or the Elmo
Oh, so
that's
good,
like
yes.
praising the sun with the fireball.
I think it's
One of the
more
two.
Disaster Girl, but Elmo praising the sun, not an awful option.
Anyway, that is the sight that Danny sees. She realizes that she doesn't have any ability that can put out the fire, so she rummages in another nearby crate, finds a series of chemicals that she stored away, perhaps... No, you know what she does? She goes into a box that's labeled, Collected Goop Box 1, and she opens it up. She goes and finds a couple of just a handful of stuff and just dumps all of it onto the fire, and by some miracle the combination is enough to extinguish the flame. Plug and the Pixies, what you guys can see, are just ashes, basically. There's no sign of the Obelix, and you can only make out the charred remains of all of the clockwork horrors, both the one that was active and the dormant ones that it was trying to activate. Danny does not perceive any of this and just assumes that you had made a fire because you're a fucking cat.
-1 wisdom.
And so Danny is like, Plug, come on, I already have to deal with the Modrons in order to fix the ship. I can't have you destroying it in another part. Come on, get out, shoo. And you see her sort of like try and shoo you away out of the cargo hold back upstairs. And who are you but to oblige?
A true hero is never appreciated in his time.
Some time passes, and we are now at the part of season 3, episode 7, where that period of downtime where Danny is getting the ship fixed. I think it's like a period of 3-ish days. So within that time period, the group, everyone, I keep wanting to say like the 4 of you reconvene, but there are multiple Pixies. You all reconvene.
The 4 plus of you.
Yes, and sort of decompress and congratulate each other on a job well done. Plug, as far as a first outing goes, you feel like this has been fucking fantastic.
You all performed admirably in the line of true terror. I'd like to commend you all for your service to the ship. I know that it can be difficult at times to put aside your personal whims for the good of our vessel and, of course, our masters, but I am honored to have such faithful companions by my side.
Yeah, and Drone, you were really indispensable. I sure hope you don't, like, explode before we do this next, because I don't know what we would have done without you.
I must confess, I apologize for my failures. I should have died valiantly defending the ship
No,
and those
no.
aboard it. But since I live to serve another day, I can only hope to achieve this goal on our next outing.
This is the perfect combination of like Maxim's objectiveness and Virla's like tendency to put himself into the fire first.
Borderline suicidal tendencies.
These two idiots made the most screwed up kid.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Given the
Father, are
fanfic,
you proud
so
of me?
many ideas.
Yeah, so you guys all sort of talk, congratulate each other on a job well done. It seems as though you have formed, Plug, a veritable group of heroes. Legends, perhaps, maybe not ones that have been destined for greatness in the beginning, but new stars whom you are welcome to have in your constellation nonetheless. As you all are sort of congratulating each other, you hear a faint scream come from sort of outside of the ship. All of you rushing outside onto the decks of Sigil. Turning around, you see that your ship is gone. In its place is a giant red dragon that is now sort of flying and idling in its spot.
So this was.
Plug.
Yeah.
It seems as though your next adventure has found itself. And now you have to
At
stop
the ready,
it.
men, we have a new foe. For
Pixies fall
Daddy.
information.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And that is where we will end our session.
Incredible. So fun.
Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, friends, you four, for bearing with this. This was fun.
Yeah.
And I hope you all enjoyed listening. Fanfic and art away. And we will see you all in early July for season 4 premiere of Rolling with Difficulty.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Until then, take care.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this very special one-shot adventure from the Rolling with Difficulty team. Our regular season, Season 4, will pick up on July 7th for the continuing adventures of the crew of the Per Aspera and maybe the weird little dudes. But if you miss us before then, be sure to check out our Discord server for fun fan conversations and other content, as well as our Patreon for more exclusive content from the cast, as well as helping to support the show. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you back out on the Astral Sea.